Chapter 898. As the saying goes, good will be rewarded and evil will be punished. It's not that the time hasn't come yet. These ferocious people had committed heinous crimes, and now the retribution had fallen on them. Whether it was Tan Xiu or Shuiyu, neither of them had the slightest sympathy for them. Tan Xiu, who had gone through too many things, was deeply aware of the truth that getting rid of a bad person was to protect countless good people. Let's go to the mountain tonight. Tan Xiu hung up the phone and looked at Shuiyu. Shuiyu nodded. She knew Tan Xiu's character. He didn't like to be in the limelight and didn't want to get into trouble. Since the police would come later, it was better to leave early. Everyone, hurry up. Don't let anything happen to Mr. Tang and his wife. Grandpa Jia's voice came from outside the courtyard wall, followed by the sound of footsteps getting clearer. Tan Xiu and Shuiyu exchanged glances. The moment they stepped out of the courtyard, they saw Grandpa Jia leading hundreds of villagers, men, women, and children. They were less than 20 meters away from the courtyard gate. Upon seeing Tan Xiu and Shuiyu coming out, Grandpa Jia immediately looked pleasantly surprised. He trotted toward them and asked with concern, "Are you all right, Mr. Tang?" Tan Xiu was somewhat touched. He could easily imagine that Grandpa Jia was worried about him and Shuiyu, so he immediately went to gather the villagers after he came over. The hundreds of people in front of him were almost all the people in the entire village. "We're fine, Grandpa Jia." Grandpa Jia heavily nodded and said, "It's no longer safe here, Mr. Tang. You should leave quickly. Take advantage of the time when those bad guys are still here." "How many hunters are there in total?" asked Tan Xiu. 7. "All of them are ruthless characters," answered Grandpa Jia. "There's no problem if there are only 7 of them," said Tan Xiu with a smile. "They're all in the courtyard, and I've knocked them out." "That's right, the police will probably arrive soon. We have something to do and need to leave first. You can hand those hunters over to the police when they come." Grandpa Jia stared blankly and snappily said, "You're not a child anymore, Mr. Tang. How can you just joke around? Listen to my advice, you'd better stop making a fuss. You should hurry up and leave. When those bad guys come back, we can just find a random excuse." Many villagers had seen Tang Xiu before, so they also chimed in at this moment. "Yes, Mr. Tang, you don't understand the character of those bad people. They have knives and guns in their hands. You should leave quickly. Mr. Tang, Grandpa Jia is not joking with you. Hurry up and leave. Otherwise, all the bad guys will come back and you won't be able to leave. Sigh, he's too young and doesn't know the dangers. Those bastards aren't easy to deal with. They dare to kill. Let's go." Tan Xiu looked at the simple faces and the concerned expressions on their faces. He silently buried his emotions in his heart and said, "Everyone, if you don't believe me, then follow me to the courtyard to have a look. The 7 bad guys were all subdued by me. They're in the yard." Mr. Tang, seeing that Tan Xiu was still talking nonsense, Grandpa Jia stamped his feet angrily and said, "Since you like to talk big, I'll go in and have a look." Having said that, he strode into the courtyard. And when he saw the scene in the courtyard, his footsteps suddenly stopped, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his aged face. The dozen or so villagers behind him had only taken a few steps into the yard when they suddenly stopped when they saw the scene in the yard like Grandpa Jia. As if they had lost their souls, they stared at the 7 people lying on the ground like dead dogs with their eyes wide open and their tongues tied. Heavens! I'm not dreaming, am I? These bad guys were really knocked down by Mr. Tang. How is this possible? These bastards have knives and guns. How could they be subdued by Mr. Tang? Is Mr. Tang a martial arts expert? He's not afraid of bullets. I clearly heard gunshots before. Amazing. With a smile on his face, Tan Xiu listened to the villagers who had just woken up from their stupor. Then, he said with a smile, "Everyone, you can see that I've subdued all these bad guys. Quickly search them and see if there are any dangerous goods on them. Also, it's best to find some strong ropes and tie them up. They'll wake up before the provincial police arrive and they'll definitely do something dangerous to you. Grandpa Jia seemed to have woken up from a dream and hurriedly said, "That's right, Mr. Tang is right. Everyone, hurry up and find some ropes. We must find some thick and strong ropes to tie all these bad guys up. As long as the police come and arrest them, we'll be at peace in the future." Quickly, under the respectful gazes of all the villagers, Tan Xiu and Shui Yu left the village, leaving the off-road vehicle left by Jia Weili in the village. The night was hazy. When the stars appeared in the night sky, the duo finally arrived at their destination. Originally, Tan Xiu planned to use this cave to plant elixirs. But due to the appearance of the occult doors people, as well as the fight with Jin Sanqi and Jin Sijie, all the elixirs were eventually moved away. However, the heaven and earth spiritual energy here was still much richer than the outside world. Tired? Tan Xiu looked up at the top of the cave. After retracting his gaze, he saw a tired look on Shui Yu's face and her whole body was a bit dispirited. A little. Shui Yu gently nodded. Take a rest first. I'll study this 6-starlight array, Tan Xiu said with a smile. I'll ask you again if I encounter something I don't understand. Shui Yu shook her head and said, let's study it together. Let's try to open the immortal trove as soon as possible. She was perfectly aware that the Lien family in Ning City had always been a big trouble. If they couldn't be eliminated as soon as possible, not to mention Tan Xiu, even she herself would be a bit worried. Furthermore, she had known about this immortal trove for a long time, but it had never been opened. Tan Xiu had always been worried about it. Now that the immortal trove had been opened earlier and figured out what was inside, Tan Xiu's mind would be settled. They studied it all night long. The more they learned about the mysteries of the 6-starlight array, the more they found out about the mysteries of this array. However, 3 days later, the duo finally figured out all the mysteries of the 6-starlight array. I'll give it a try. Tang Xiu's sword fingers moved as though they were flying. He began to decipher the mysteries of the 6-starlight array in accordance with its position. When he had completed all the methods he thought to be correct, he was surprised to find that the 6-starlight array only emitted a strong light before it silently dissipated. It shouldn't be. Shui Yu frowned and muttered. Our cracking method is correct, and this 6-starlight array finally reacted. Why did it stop halfway? Tan Xiu was also puzzled. After a long silence, he touched his chin and said, I think we should have overlooked something. This 6-starlight array is not an array of our country, but from the Western countries. The one who arranged this 6-starlight array must have some other considerations. But what exactly is it? Shui Yu shook her head and said with some frustration, forget it. Let's not think about it first. Just take out something to eat. We haven't eaten anything for almost a day. Tan Xiu nodded. After a few days of research, he and Shui Yu had consumed a lot of energy, and even their physical strength was somewhat overdrawn. He was still fine since he was a very strong expert, so it wouldn't be a problem even if he didn't eat, drink, sleep, or rest for 3 to 5 days. But Shui Yu couldn't. Immediately after, Tan Xiu took out tables, chairs, bowls, and chopsticks from his interspatial ring, and then took out the stored cooked food, cold dishes, drinks, and other food. He then said with a smile, have a good sleep after you've eaten and drunk your fill. Maybe you'll have a flash of inspiration after you relax and suddenly think of the crux of the problem. Let's sleep together, said Shui Yu with a chuckle. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and forced a smile. I'm not sleepy at all. It won't be a problem even if I don't sleep for a few days and nights. Miao Wentong and I previously agreed to return to Ning City within 7 days. It's already the 4th day. If we still can't open this immortal trove, I'm afraid we'll have to return disappointed again. How could you forget what you just told me? Asked Shui Yu. Have a good sleep after you've eaten and drunk your fill. Maybe you'll have a flash of inspiration. We're now stuck on a certain key issue. As long as we can figure it out, we may be able to open the immortal trove at any time. Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing. His words just now were unexpectedly used by Shuiyu to lecture him. After a slight hesitation, he took out 2 crystal glasses and a bottle of red wine from his interspatial ring. After opening it, he poured 2 glasses and smilingly said, "Everyone says that red wine is good for one's looks. Though the taste is not that great, we can still drink it and have a good sleep." Shuiyu took the red wine glass and gently shook the blood-red wine inside. Just as she was about to toast with Tan Xiu, her expression suddenly moved. She blinked and asked, "Do you think blood is needed to completely activate the hexagram star array? Don't many foreign magic plots require various mediums? Maybe blood is the medium of this hexagram star array." Tan Xiu's expression moved. He immediately put down the red wine glass and floated to the top of the cave. He took out the divine sword and cut his finger, as a drop of blood instantly fell on the pattern of the hexagram star array. Buzz! A dazzling white light instantly illuminated the entire cave as if it was daytime. Along with a violent vibration and a crackling sound, the hexagram star array was completely activated. Upon seeing this, Tan Xiu immediately looked ecstatic. He didn't expect that Shuiyu's temporary idea turned out to be the key to activating the hexagram star array. At this moment, Tan Xiu could clearly feel every pattern and mysterious structure of the hexagram star array. Even the entire hexagram star array's diagram seemed to be imprinted in his mind. Vibration. It caused the stones and dust in the cave to constantly fall, and the food and wine on the table could no longer be enjoyed. Tan Xiu swooped down and hugged Shuiyu in his arms. He instantly released his primal chaos force to protect both of them. Chapter 899. Inside the cave that was as bright as day, the ground under Tan Xiu and Shuiyu's feet suddenly rotated and an enormous devouring force instantly disappeared. "Where are we?" In the next moment, the two of them appeared in an empty underground space. Scorching hot magma converged into a river and flowed in front of them, gushing into the rock stratum of the unknown cave. A head-sized green ball of light was suspended above the magma river, exuding a strong aura of vitality that made the pores all over one's body open. Shuiyu pointed to the wall opposite the magma river and said, "Look over there." Tan Xiu looked in the direction of her finger and his expression suddenly changed because he saw a statue sitting on a huge bluestone in the surrounding shallow pool. There were also some words engraved on the bluestone wall. "Let's go and have a look." Tan Xiu hugged Shuiyu in his arms and floated up, dashing to the front of the statue in just a few seconds. While looking at the shallow pool around the statue, Tan Xiu's eyes slowly moved and finally landed on the words on the bluestone wall. "I'm Tao Master Guai. I have thousands of incarnations and countless names, but only this name is true. Those who enter my cultivation place belong to the fated ones. Those who wish to worship me as their master must kowtow and worship me to obtain my true inheritance." Tan Xiu and Shuiyu exchanged dismayed glances. They had been searching for a long time, yet they didn't see the immortal trove. Instead, they were fated to receive the inheritance of a cultivator. Tang Xiu was very disappointed. He was utterly disappointed. Given his former status and strength, why would he need to obtain the inheritance of others? "It turns out that this immortal trove is Tao Master Guai's inheritance," said Shuiyu softly. "I wouldn't have opened this immortal trove if I had known about this earlier." Tan Xiu forced a wry smile. What a waste of time. Isn't it a good thing to obtain his inheritance? Asked Shuiyu, confused. "Unless he's a deity from the god realm, his inheritance is worthless to me." Tan Xiu shook his head. "Forget it. Since you've spent so much effort to open this immortal trove and have come here, just give it a try. In any case, I don't have the slightest interest in Tao Master Guai's inheritance." Shuiyu hesitated for a moment. Then, following Tan Xiu's instructions, she came to the praying mat outside the shallow pool and kowtowed. Just as she raised her head after performing the ceremony, the statue suddenly emitted a tremendous aura. The dark green liquid in the shallow pool turned into a water dragon that instantly enveloped Shuiyu. The head-sized green light ball suspended above the river of lava suddenly shrank 100 times, turning into a thumb-sized light shadow that drilled into Shueyu's head. Buzz, a mysterious aura formed in the entire underground space. Tan Xiu suddenly turned his head to look around and found that there were 9 green light beads embedded in the walls of this space. As the green light beads connected with the green energy tied on Shueyu's body, the green mist filled every corner of this space in just a few seconds. This is... Tan Xiu held his breath and looked surprised. He could clearly feel that the green aura surging around his body had an extremely strong repulsion to him. It was as if there were 2 positive and negative magnetic poles that were faintly repelling him out of this space. Tan Xiu quickly grabbed the array disc and arranged it in the position of the 4 divisions array lightning fast. He then released his primal chaos force to force the green aura out a few meters and immediately activated the array. Suddenly, the oppressive aura in his chest disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Tan Xiu raised his hand to touch his chin. A pondering look flashed in his eyes. He felt that this inheritance method was not something an ordinary cultivator could achieve. Unless one had reached the immortal realm, it would be very difficult to achieve this even with the help of arrays. Dao Master Guai. I've never heard of this name in the immortal world. Presumably, he's not a powerful figure, right? However, it seems that the inheritance ceremony will take some time, so I'd better wait. Tan Xiu sat cross-legged and was ready to absorb the power of the stars to begin cultivating. However, he was dumbfounded to find that the green energy floating outside the 4 divisions array had completely isolated this space from the outside world. Even if he forced himself to cultivate, he could no longer absorb the power of the stars from the outside world. Strange. Tan Xiu sighed and immediately gave up the idea of cultivating. He took out a book from his interspatial ring and sat cross-legged on the ground to read it quietly. Time flew by. After a full 12 hours, Tan Xiu had finished reading the 4th book and digested all the contents in it. His expression slightly changed as he looked at Shueyu, who was shrouded in green light. I see. Shueyu looked at the statue in front of her. Her red lips opened slightly, and an emotionless voice came out. As her voice fell, she gently waved her arm. Suddenly, all the green light floating in the underground space swarmed toward her body. In just a few breaths, the entire space was restored to its original state. This aura is so strong. Tan Xiu looked at Shueyu in shock. He could feel that Shueyu's body was brimming with power. Just the aura she exuded inadvertently made him feel suffocated. He couldn't even figure out whether this powerful aura came from Shueyu or from Dao Master Guai who gave her the inheritance. Tan Xiu. Shueyu bowed to the statue and then floated outside the 4 divisions array. Tan Xiu removed the 4 divisions array and circled around Shueyu. After observing her for a long time, he asked, "What's your current cultivation level?" Shueyu thought for a moment and suddenly smiled. With a flick of her long sleeves, a mini version of Shueyu appeared out of thin air, exuding a green light. This mini version of Shueyu even winked at Tan Xiu and then covered her mouth with a chuckle. Nascent soul. Tan Xiu was shocked as he looked at the naked mini version of Shueyu, who looked somewhat mischievous in the green light. His heart fiercely twitched a few times. He never dreamed that Shueyu could directly break through from the qi refining stage to the nascent soul stage just by obtaining an inheritance. I don't seem to be at the nascent soul stage. Shueyu chuckled. Holy shit. Tan Xiu was shocked speechless and could only stare at Shueyu's nascent soul. Suddenly, Shueyu's pretty face blushed. She waved her long sleeves and immediately took back her nascent soul into her body. She didn't feel anything wrong when her nascent soul was naked at first, but Tan Xiu's eyes made her somewhat unable to bear it. Tan Xiu looked up in amazement and saw the shy blush on Shueyu's face. He suddenly realized something and burst into laughter. We've been husband and wife for a long time, so don't be shy. I have some good stuff here, and we'll have dual cultivation sooner or later. No, I can't cultivate my nascent soul at all even if I change my cultivation technique. You can't cultivate your nascent soul. Why? Tan Xiu took a deep breath and said with a bit of regret, I used to cultivate a supreme immortal art, so I can naturally cultivate my nascent soul and immortal nascent soul. But due to some special reasons, I became an ordinary person again, so I changed my cultivation technique to a more profound one. It's also a cultivation technique that focuses on refining the body, but it's impossible to cultivate my nascent soul. Shuiyu gently nodded. Although her cultivation had increased a lot and she also obtained a lot of useful knowledge from the inheritance, she still didn't know much about Tan Xiu's situation. Tan Xiu didn't want to talk about his problem anymore, so he looked at Shuiyu and asked, Tell me, you got the inheritance of Tao Master Guai. Who is this Tao Master Guai? What did he teach you? Shuiyu spread her palm and a green light sphere suddenly appeared. She then said, This is my master's medium sphere. As long as I activate it, my master's divine sense will appear here. After saying that, she immediately activated the green light sphere. Tan Xiu stared blankly for a moment. His expression suddenly changed and he hurriedly shouted, Don't activate it, buzz, a terrifying aura emanated from the green light sphere. In nearly an instant, the green light sphere exploded and formed a green figure in front of Tan Xiu and Shuiyu. He was thin and had a sage-like demeanor. He looked like an immortal. Shuiyu. I didn't expect my pristine immortal Confucian sect to have a female disciple. How troublesome. Tao Master Guai shook his head and helplessly said, Fine, fine. Hand over a wisp of your divine sense and you'll be a disciple of my pristine immortal Confucian sect from now on. But, after you ascend to the immortal world, you must never directly seek refuge with me. I'll leave a mark in your knowledge seat, so you can directly go there to find me after you ascend. Shuiyu hurriedly knelt and respectfully kowtowed 3 times to Tao Master Guai. Then, she asked, Why can't I go to the pristine immortal Confucian sect to find you, Master? Aren't you one of the elders of the pristine immortal Confucian sect? It's mentioned in the inheritance you left me. I'll let him answer this question for you. His pristine immortal Confucian sect only accepts male disciples and doesn't accept female ones. It can be said that once bitten, 10,000 years afraid of ropes. Tan Xiu sighed inwardly. He reached out to pull Shuiyu up and calmly said. Tao Master Guai stared blankly. Only now did he notice that there was a young man beside his disciple. With a bit of shock, he asked in a deep voice, Who are you? This should be Earth, right? How do you know the situation of my pristine immortal Confucian sect in the immortal world? A faint smile outlined on the corner of Tan Xiu's mouth. I don't know how much time has passed in the immortal world, but I do know one thing. That old ancestor of your pristine immortal Confucian sect was killed by my subordinate. It's also because of my subordinate that your pristine immortal Confucian sect doesn't want to recruit female disciples. I may not know your name, Tao Master Guai, but I know your pristine immortal Confucian sect's pristine Lioha. What? Tao Master Guai exclaimed and instantly retreated a few steps back. Looking at the faint smile on Tan Xiu's face, his eyes stared fixedly at Tan Xiu. After a long while, he suddenly knelt in front of Tan Xiu and spoke with 70% fear and 30% respect, Tao Master Guai, the 326th generation disciple of the pristine immortal Confucian sect, pays respect to Lord Supreme. This junior didn't know you were here and was rude just now. I hope Lord Supreme can forgive me. Chapter 900. Tan Xiu sighed inwardly. If it weren't for Shuiyu's speed, he wouldn't have been able to stop her. Otherwise, his identity wouldn't have been exposed. Fortunately, the pristine immortal Confucianist sect was a famous righteous sect in the immortal world, and its disciples were all immortal Confucian scholars. Tan Xiu had also studied Confucianism. Those who could reach the position of an elder of a sect in Confucianism had extremely strict requirements in terms of temperament, such as maintaining the rule of etiquette, advocating the rule of virtue, and attaching importance to the rule of man. Etiquette and moral character were the most important among them. As long as he could make this Tao Master Guai make a promise today, the crisis of his identity being exposed would be reduced to a minimum. Unless he went against his heart and left a hidden danger in his state of mind, making him unable to break through in the future. Tan Xiu looked at the kneeling Tao Master Guai. After a long silence, he indifferently said, "The pristine immortal Confucianist sect is a third-rate sect in the immortal world. Even if you occupy an immortal domain, I only need to move my mouth to get rid of you. However, I've paid attention to your pristine immortal Confucianist sect, so I don't have any ill will toward you. Tao Master Guai, I just need you to promise me something today and I won't send anyone to cause trouble for your sect. Of course, if you can help me with something, not only will I give you a generous gift in the future, but I'll also give your pristine immortal Confucianist sect an immortal fate. Please instruct me, Supreme," said Tao Master Guai hurriedly. "You must help me conceal the fact that my avatar appeared on earth," said Tan Xiu. "Shui Yu is my woman on earth. Since she has taken you as her master, there's some karma between us. I hope you can protect her when she ascends to the immortal world in the future." Tao Master Guai's pupils shrunk. He looked up at Shui Yu and immediately said, "Tao Master Guai, swear to my heart that I'll never reveal any information about you on earth. I'll do my best to protect your wife, Shui Yu, as long as she ascends to the immortal world in the future." Tan Xiu nodded with satisfaction and said, "I'm very curious. How did you leave your inheritance on earth? Did you ascend to the immortal world from earth?" "That's right. I'm from the Tang dynasty," said Tao Master Guai respectfully. "Originally, I had completely given up on the inheritance I had left here. Who would have thought that someone would be able to open the 6 army starlight array that I had set up and obtain my inheritance?" "I see." Tan Xiu nodded and said, "It seems that there is indeed a huge difference between the time on earth and in the immortal world. Alright, get up." Tao Master Guai cautiously got up and looked at Shui Yu, then at Tan Xiu. Suddenly, his expression changed as he asked, "Supreme Master, how did you?" Tan Xiu asked with a smile, "You want to ask why I'm on earth, right? Is there any news about me in the immortal world?" "There's indeed a rumor about you in the immortal world," said Tao Master Guai with a perturbed expression. "It's said that you perished when you ascended to the god's realm and your soul scattered. In fact, many of your former disciples and your subordinates even personally went to the place where you lived in seclusion to hold a large-scale memorial service." Tan Xiu lightly said, "Perish? What a joke. It would have been very easy for me to ascend to the god's realm had I not been tied down by something. Forget it, the immortal world has nothing to do with me for the time being. I'll go back to see my old friends in the future." Tao Master Guai observed Tan Xiu in front of him and hesitantly said, "Supreme Master, but your appearance, and your cultivation, how come?" Buzz, a surging aura instantly descended in this underground space. Clad in a white dress, Gu Yan looked like a fairy descending to the mortal world as she appeared out of thin air in front of them. When her eyes fell on Tao Master Guai's divine sense, her fingers immediately pinched and a dense killing intent burst out from her eyes. "You are..." Tao Master Guai was shocked and was about to berate her, but after seeing Gu Yan's appearance, he immediately swallowed back his words. With deep fear, he prostrated and knelt down and called out, "Tao Master Guai, the 326th generation disciple of the pristine immortal Confucian sect, pays respect to Rakshasa immortal monarch." Shui Yu's complexion changed and she instantly stood in front of Tan Xiu. She was now a spirit formation stage powerhouse, but she still felt a huge threat from Gu Yan. It was as though the breathtakingly beautiful woman in front of her was a mountain she needed to look up to. She even had a feeling that it would be a piece of cake for this woman who suddenly appeared in front of her to kill her. "Master." Gu Yan slightly furrowed her brows and indifferently glanced at Shui Yu. Then, she gracefully bowed to Tan Xiu. "Master." Shui Yu was dumbfounded. She turned her head to look at the smiling Tan Xiu, and then shifted her eyes to the breathtakingly beautiful Gu Yan. A strange feeling welled up inside her. Fortunately, Tao Master Guai was only a wisp of his divine sense at the moment. If his real body was here, he would have been shocked by Gu Yan, calling him master. Who was this demoness in front of him? She was a terrifying female Azura with countless titles in the immortal world. 1,000 years ago. He once met Rakshasa star monarch with his master and elders. He still clearly remembered that she killed countless mortals and immortals of an ancient country with just a flip of her hand. The sky of the immortal world was dyed red with blood at that time. The scene was deeply engraved in his heart, and he still couldn't forget it even after 1,000 years. But, however, how could this vicious and merciless demoness from the immortal world be the disciple of Lord Supreme Being? It must be noted that although Lord Supremacy had killed countless immortals and Buddhas, he had never killed innocent people. Unaware of Tao Master Guai's thoughts, Tenshio asked with a smile, "Why are you here, Yen, With a wave of her hand, Gu Yen, imprisoned Shuiyu and pushed her a few meters away. Only then did she reveal a sweet smile and said, "I sensed a huge immortal aura in this world, Master, so I came here to investigate. I didn't expect that someone from the immortal world would appear here." "Let them go," Tenshio said with a smile. Gu Yen, faintly smiled and skillfully held Tenshio's arm. She then instantly removed the spell that imprisoned Tao Master Guai's divine sense and Shuiyu. Shuiyu ran to the other side of Tenshio and vigilantly looked at Gu Yen, asking, "Is she your disciple, Tenshio? Were you really a supreme in the immortal world?" Tenshio faintly smiled and didn't explain it to her. Instead, he looked at Tao Master Guai and said, "Remember your oath. I hope you won't violate it. Also, I'm afraid your divine sense won't be able to go back, no? Leave this immortal force to Shuiyu. She's your disciple, after all." "Understood," replied Tao Master Guai respectfully. Tenshio took a deep breath and said, "I'll also remember my promise to you. As long as you can fulfill it, I'll naturally help you set foot on a higher level in the future. I'll even give your pristine immortal Confucianist sect a great opportunity." "Thank you, Supreme Sir," Tao Master Guai respectfully replied and cautiously looked at Gu Yen, Then, he turned into immortal force and integrated it into Shuiyu's body. "Shuiyu, absorb this immortal force first. It'll be of great benefit to you," said Tenshio. "I know you have doubts in your heart, but I'll tell you after you've absorbed this immortal force." "All right," Shuiyu replied and strode to the side to sit cross-legged. Gu Yen shot a deep look at Shuiyu and immediately said, "Master, why didn't you let me destroy Tao Master Guai's divine sense just now? He's someone from the immortal world. If you were to leak the news that you're in the immortal world, I'm afraid it'll be very disadvantageous to you." Tenshio turned to look at Gu Yen, and said in a low voice, "You just had a way to destroy Tao Master Guai's divine sense. Can you follow his divine sense into the immortal world and destroy his immortal soul?" Gu Yen's expression turned stiff. She shook her head and said, "I haven't recovered my strength yet. I can't even reach the golden immortal stage, so I can't destroy his immortal soul." "That's it." Tenshio nodded. "If you can follow his divine sense into the immortal world and directly destroy his immortal soul, I'll naturally let you destroy him as soon as possible just in case. But you can't do it now, and I can't do it either. Hence, I can only bet that he'll abide by his oath and conceal the news about us in the immortal world. Don't worry too much, Yen, I know a bit about the situation of the pristine immortal Confucianist sect. Once this sect's disciple violates his oath, he'll have to pay a huge price. He won't easily leak our whereabouts unless it's a last resort." Gu Yen, was silent for a moment. Then, she shook her head and said, "I'm still a bit worried. How about we let Ji Qimei leave Earth and return to the immortal world to get rid of him first?" "We can't do that." Tenshio shook his head. "I'm afraid it won't be easy for Ji Qimei to return to the immortal world. Further, although her injuries have healed, it won't be easy for her to restore her cultivation to its peak state. Besides, the pristine immortal Confucianist sect may be a third-rate sect in the immortal world, but there are still some perfected golden immortals in the sect. Once we fail to kill him, we'll expose ourselves even faster." "Then, what should we do?" Gu Yen, asked helplessly. A cold light flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes as he said in a deep voice, "We're racing against time from today onward. We must strive to return to the immortal world as soon as possible. As long as we return to the immortal world, I can immediately take you to a special place. Once we're there, even if those who harmed me know that I'm still alive, they won't be able to do anything to us." "What do you need me to do, Master?" Gu Yan heavily nodded. "The most important task for you now is to heal your injuries," said Tan Xiu. "You can begin to restore your strength after your injuries are healed. I'll also speed up my cultivation. Once I can break the shackles of this world in the future and ascend to the immortal world, I'll have a way to bring a large number of people to the immortal world. The immortal world will be our battlefield one day. I'll make the best use of my time to heal my injuries and restore my original strength, Master," said Gu Yan, in a deep voice. "You can rest assured that I'll also spare some time to train a large number of elites." "As soon as possible, then." Tan Xiu nodded. "I've always felt that Earth is very special. There's a problem between the time here and the time in the immortal world. If it's really like what I experienced, a year on Earth is equivalent to tens of thousands of years in the immortal world. Our enemies in the future will only be stronger, and will be in more danger." From April 1st to April 7th, 2017, this book will be free for 7 days on the QQ Reading app and Qidian Reading app. It's a small benefit to repay the many fans who have supported Silent Night for so many years. Friends who like Silent Night can download the app to read it. Chapter 901. Countless starlights sprinkled down on the earth from the night sky. The scorching heat of summer also filled the wind with heat waves. Tan Xiu, Gu Yan, and Shuiyu returned to the ground. Tan Xiu immediately decided to return to Ning City. However, he could faintly sense that there was something wrong with the relationship between the two women. "You know what you should know, and you already know each other. So we're on the same side from now on. I hope you two can get along well in the future." Standing on the hillside, Tan Xiu looked up at the starry sky and spoke in a particularly low voice. Gu Yan, pulled Tan Xiu's arm. After a long silence, she slowly said, "I don't want to be one generation lower than her, Master." "I don't care," replied Shuiyu coldly. "Yan, Shuiyu is my woman, Tan Xiu forced a smile and said. Gu Yan, raised her hand to interrupt Tan Xiu and said, "You know my mind the best, Master. The only reason I've been able to live for thousands of years is to find you and accompany you. Even if the immortal world is destroyed, even if millions of living beings are annihilated, I'll never leave you. I don't want to care about your other women, nor can I care about them. But I must follow you, and no one can separate us." Tan Xiu patted Gu Yan's fragrant shoulder with a bit of heartache and softly said, "Silly child, how could I abandon you? You're my most beloved disciple, and there's no one more important than you in my heart. Even if it's my mother, you're still the same in my heart." "I knew it. I'm the most important person in your heart, Master," said Gu Yan, excitedly. "But I'm not a little girl anymore. I've grown up. It's been thousands of years and I'm old enough to be her ancestor. I don't want to be one generation lower than her." This, Tan Xiu was somewhat at a loss. Shuiyu squinted her eyes. As a woman, she could clearly feel Gu Yan's feelings for Tan Xiu. She even admired Gu Yan very much after learning her true identity in the underground space. After a moment of silence, she broke the deadlock and said, "Tan Xiu, since she's not leaving you, you should also not abandon her. She has endured for thousands of years. Even an ugly daughter-in-law has long become an old woman. I think your master and disciple relationship has long surpassed any other feelings, so why bother with the trifles? You already have a lot of women. It doesn't matter if you have her or not. In my opinion, if she doesn't want to be one generation lower than me, you might as well let her be your woman." "Nonsense!" Tan Xiu angrily reprimanded. Gu Yan's eyes lit up at this moment. With a pleasantly surprised expression, she looked at Shuai and asked, "Do you really think so?" "That's right. Actually, I'm also considered a latecomer. If I were to use the terms on Earth, I would be his lover if I were to be nicer. If I'm not nicer, I would be his third wife, fourth wife, fifth wife." Gu Yenner immediately said, "Okay, then you can call me sister from now on. I call you younger sister Yu, and you call me older sister Yenner." Big sis Yen, Shui Yu gently nodded. Gu Yenner said with satisfaction, "Younger sister Yu, since we are sisters, I must give you a gift for our first meeting." "But, what should I give you?" Gu Yenner frowned and thought for a few seconds. Just as Tan Xiu was about to speak, she suddenly said with surprise, "I remember now. Since you've reached the soul formation late stage, I'll give you a flying sword." Star-Lord Snow Cicada spent thousands of years collecting countless treasures from the immortal realm to forge this flying sword. Even in the immortal realm, it is a supreme-grade immortal artifact. With that said, an immortal sword as thin as a cicada's wing appeared out of thin air in her hand, emitting a deep blue light. As soon as this immortal sword appeared, it caused the surrounding space to shake greatly as if it was about to split open. Shui Yu could feel that this immortal sword was extraordinary. The pressure it emitted when it appeared made her feel cold all over. She fell in love with this immortal sword at first glance. "Thank you, big sis Yenner." This time, Shui Yu thanked her from the bottom of her heart. Gu Yenner intimately pulled Shui Yu's hand and then used the immortal sword to cut her finger. She then taught her how to put away the immortal sword and how to nurture it. Then, she proudly said, "You don't need to thank me, younger sister Yu. We're a family from now on, so there's no need to be so polite." She was very satisfied. She was very satisfied. She knew that Tan Xiu always had scruples about their master and disciple relationship and never wanted to have any romantic relationship with her. But now, she seemed to see a shortcut that could make Tan Xiu accept her and become his woman. That was, to get the approval of all his women. Tan Xiu had a headache looking at the two women who suddenly became intimate with each other, especially the way Shui Yu addressed Gu Yenner and her attitude toward her. He wanted to reprimand the two women, but he was afraid that Gu Yenner would feel sad. Finally, he could only suppress the depression inside his heart. "You should go back, Yenner." Gu Yenner smiled and said, "Don't worry, master. I just came out and don't need to go back so soon. By the way, where are you going next? Do you want me to send you there?" Tan Xiu thought for a while. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he smilingly said, "If so, then come with me to do something. Ning City, Haiqing Province. Take us there now." "All right." Gu Yenner held Tan Xiu's arm again and gently grabbed Shui Yu's shoulder. A huge aura spread out and the three figures instantly disappeared. After a while, just when Tan Xiu and Shui Yu felt dizzy, the three of them had appeared in a remote place in the east of Ning City. "We've arrived. We've arrived." Shui Yu looked around in surprise with a puzzled look in her eyes. Yenner has the strength of an immortal. Let alone such a short distance, she can even reach the moon in a moment, Tan Xiu said with a smile. "Let's go. There's no need to rush since we've arrived in Ning City. Let's go to the Miao family first and then make plans later." Shui Yu looked at Tan Xiu skeptically. Although she had suddenly become a real powerhouse and had reached the late stage of spirit formation, she had never learned any spells and naturally didn't know the speed of flying. Soon, when the three of them boarded a taxi and entered the bustling streets of the city, she finally realized that they had indeed returned to Peace City. The shock in her heart made her yearn to learn how to fly and fly freely in the sky. How great would that be? At the Miao family's manor. When the taxi driver was coerced by Tan Xiu to drive to the gate, Tan Xiu smiled and handed a few 100 yuan bills to the taxi driver. Then, he entered the manor under the respectful gazes of the 6 guards of the Miao family. Brother Tang. After receiving the news, Tan Xiu had almost arrived at his residence and hurriedly came out to greet him. When he saw the two women next to Tan Xiu, his mouth instantly gaped and his eyes stared like copper bells. Another stunning beauty. Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing and said, "Do you have to show such an expression, Brother Miao? Let me introduce you. She's Gu Yenner, my apprentice. She's also Master's woman." Gu Yenner hurriedly added. Tan Xiu angrily glared at her and said, "Don't listen to this Yenner girl's nonsense, Brother Miao. I'm convinced, Brother Tang." He forced a smile and said, "The women around you are more beautiful than the other. The women around you are more beautiful than the other. It's as if all the beauties in the world have become your women. You're already so old, so don't joke with me here," Tan Xiu snappily said with a smile. "Let's go. Let's sit down and have a cup of tea first. After all and the others report the situation, we'll go straight to the Lien family and annihilate this evil family." Upon hearing Tan Xiu's words, Miao Wentong immediately suppressed the shock in his heart and nodded with a solemn expression. "The Lien family will always be a malignant tumor if we don't eradicate them. But we can't act rashly now, no? What if? There's no what if." Tan Xiu waved and said, "I naturally won't act against the Lien family if I don't have full assurance. Just put your heart at ease, Brother Miao." "Brother Tang, your trump card is?" asked Miao Wentong, confused. Pointing to Gu Yenner, Tan Xiu smilingly said, "My precious disciple has come, so I'll let her exercise her hands and feet. Even if we don't act, the Lien family will be annihilated today." Miao Wentong looked at Gu Yenner and incredulously said, "Brother Tang, you mean Miss Gu? How is this possible? Please don't joke with me. Are you looking down on women?" asked Tan Xiu with a faint smile. "I won't look down on women if it's just women." Miao Wentong shook his head and forced a wry smile. "But Miss Gu is young and she's also your disciple. How could she have the means to deal with the Lien family? Brother Tang, this is a serious matter, so we can't harm Miss Gu. You know about the Everlasting Feast Hall, but do you know who founded it?" Tan Xiu let out a strange smile. "Of course I know. The little boss is Gu Xiaoshua's master." What? You mean? That's right. Yenner is Xiaoshua's master." Tan Xiu nodded and smilingly said. "You should understand now, right?" Miao Wentong gulped down his saliva and looked at Gu Yenner with a shocked expression. He murmured, "It turns out that reaching a certain level of cultivation can really preserve one's youth forever. Little Gu, no, it's Senior Gu. I never thought that the founder of the Everlasting Feast Hall, Senior Gu, would be so young and beautiful." "Alright, don't flatter me." Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing. "This trick won't work on Yenner. I think his words are very useful, Master." Gu Yenner smiled. "I'm indeed as beautiful as a flower, young and promising. Otherwise, how could I be worthy of you, Master?" Miao Wentong's brain was a bit short-circuited. He couldn't see the real relationship between Tan Xiu and Gu Yenner at this moment. "I'm really sorry. I was too tired during the day in Singapore, so I returned to the hotel at 9 p.m. I just wanted to lean on the bed for a while and then write, but I fell asleep due to exhaustion and missed the update time. I've kept you waiting for a long time, brothers and sisters. I ask you to support me for the monthly tickets since Jingye insists on continuously updating. Thank you very much. __. Chapter 902. At night, at the residence of the Miao family's patriarch, Miao Wentong, Moo, Jin Shi, and the others received the news from Tan Xiu and hurried over. They reported the results of their investigation of the Lien family in the past few days, but in the end, they still didn't find out who was behind the Lien family. "I'll go with Yenner. You guys stay here and wait for the results." Tan Xiu pondered for a moment and finally made a decision. "Brother Tang, I know you and Senior Gu are very powerful, but only the two of you are going to the Lien family this time. What if?" said Miao Wentong quickly. Tan Xiu waved his hand and said, Brother Miao, you don't need to address Yen, as a senior. Just call her by her name. As for the two of us, you can rest assured. Even if the other party is someone from the netherworld, with Yen around, it won't be a problem. Miao Wentong hesitated for a while before he nodded and said, since you don't want my clansmen to follow you, then you should at least let me and all follow you. Their strength is very strong. Even if they are compared to me, I'm afraid they are not inferior to me. Even if I let them support me from the periphery, I will be at ease. Tan Xiu smiled and said, if that's the case, then you can follow us. There's no time to lose. If we wait until daybreak, it'll be inconvenient for us to do our work. Let's go straight to the Lian family. Gu Yan, chuckled and said, tell me where the Lians live, or tell me their family's appearance. I'll take you there. What do you mean? Boss Gu has been to Peace City before. Miao Wentong was puzzled. Gu Yanner said, I did come to Peace City before, but that was more than 20 years ago. Miao Wentong suddenly understood and then told Gu Yanner the address of the Lian family. In addition, at Gu Yanner's request, he also told her the architectural features of the Lian family. A moment later, just as Miao Wentong was about to call someone to prepare the car, he felt the world spin around him. Then, he saw that his surroundings had changed. What's going on? Miao Wentong couldn't help but exclaim as he looked around, dumbfounded. Just a moment ago, he was still sitting in his house. How did he end up somewhere else in the blink of an eye? No, this is the periphery of the Lian family. Tan Xiu smiled faintly and said, Brother Miao, don't be surprised. Yenner's strength is not something you can imagine. Alright, you guys stay here to provide support. Yenner and I will go in directly. Of course, if we encounter any danger inside, we will have a way to notify you. Alright. Mo all glanced at Miao Wentong. Although they were also shocked, they were able to control their emotions well. In the wee hours, the Lian family mountain villa was filled with a tranquil atmosphere, especially in the northern mountain villa. It was deathly silent. Other than the Lian family's ancestors in the lower space, there were no other creatures. However, Tan Xiu and Gu Yan could see that there were more than 40 experts of the Lian family, divided into 6 teams, constantly patrolling the periphery of the Netherworld Grand Formation. The security is very tight. A smile hung on the corner of Gu Yan's mouth. She seemed to enjoy going out alone with Tan Xiu to do things. It's indeed very tight. If we didn't have the invisibility talisman I refined, I'm afraid we would have been discovered by them by now. Tan Xiu smiled faintly. This Netherworld Grand Formation is useless against us, so I'll take you inside. Alright. Tan Xiu hugged Gu Yan's slender waist, and the smile on her beautiful and charming face turned thicker. After a while, the duo silently appeared in the underground space under the rockery and looked at an old man sitting cross-legged. Tan Xiu moved lightning fast and instantly killed him. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he said, there were originally 3 Lian family's ancestors here. I'm afraid they have noticed that I've killed 2 of them, so they added 2 of them to those secret chambers. If my guess is correct, these 49 secret chambers should form a brand new array. And this array is very beneficial to the Lian family's ancestors. It's the Netherworld Grand Formation, said Gu Yan. Outside is the Netherworld Grand Formation, and here is the Netherworld Grand Formation. Tan Xiu frowned. How did the Lian family arrange these 2 arrays? One had to know that setting up this kind of formation required very special materials, as well as very special methods. Even if a golden core stage cultivator wants to set up these 2 formations, I'm afraid it's just a dream. Master, the Lian family's ancestors have already turned into half-ghosts. Gu Yan sighed faintly. I can sense something special in their bodies. What is it? Tan Xiu was confused. How come I didn't notice it? Asked Gu Yan. After asking, Tan Xiu's complexion turned a bit red. He realized that his current strength was like the difference between heaven and earth compared to Gu Yan. Although Gu Yan could sense it, he didn't necessarily feel it. "I'll tell you later, master," said Gu Yan, with a chuckle. As she spoke, she gently raised her arms, and two huge airflows instantly passed away. In just a few seconds, the Lien family's ancestors in the 49 secret chambers were all swept up by the two airflows and pulled in front of the two people. Looking at their greatly changed expressions, Gu Yan instantly moved to confine them. "Damn it! Who the hell are you?" One of the Lien family's ancestors, who was clad in a red robe with his hair combed into a bun and a black mole on the corner of his mouth, struggled and roared with a flushed face. Tan Xiu snorted coldly. His eyes swept over the 49 people and slowly asked, "Answer my question and I'll give you a quick death. Else, I have plenty of means to make you beg for death. I'm sure you're well aware of the feeling of living a life worse than death when you torture others, right? Tell us your origin first if you want us to answer your question," shouted the red-robed old man angrily. "Else, we won't answer your question even if we have to die." "You don't know who I am at all," said Tan Xiu with a faint smile. "Even if I tell you, it's just a waste of my breath. But I can dispel your doubts." "What doubts?" asked the red-robed old man. "Didn't your Lien family's people go to seek revenge under the leadership of the patriarch?" Tan Xiu said. "All of them died in my hands." The red-robed old man's expression drastically changed upon hearing it. Although he couldn't even turn his head, he still shouted fiercely, "Guodong, tell me the reason." The only old man in a Chinese tunic suit looked at Tan Xiu in disbelief and shouted, "Did you kill them? Damn it, did you kill my father and sixth uncle as well?" "That's right. I did kill two Lien family's ancestors," said Tan Xiu. "Presumably, those two old geezers are your father and sixth uncle." Grandpa Jiu, the current patriarch of our family, Lien Bai, led his clansmen to seek revenge against the enemy who killed the younger brother of the current patriarch, as well as several talented clansmen of our family, shouted the old man in a Chinese tunic suit. The red-robed old man snorted coldly and looked at Tan Xiu, asking, "Are you the enemy of our family?" "I wasn't, but now I am." Tan Xiu shook his head. The red-robed old man was silent for a few seconds and slowly asked, "What do you want to know? What exactly is the situation of your Lien family?" Tan Xiu smilingly asked. "Why did someone in your Lien family arrange the Underworld Grand Array and the Netherworld Grand Array? Also, where did you get the ghost cultivation technique? What I want to know the most is the origin of the person behind your Lien family." "You know the Underworld Grand Array and the Netherworld Grand Array?" exclaimed the red-robed old man in shock. "Damn! Who the hell are you?" "I'm a cultivator," answered Tan Xiu. The red-robed old man fiercely glared at Tan Xiu and fiercely said, "I know you're a cultivator, but there's no enmity between us. Why did you kill my Lien family's people? Why did you break into my family's land at night and attack us?" "There's a saying that I don't like very much," said Tan Xiu. "Good and evil can't coexist." Of course, this excuse is a bit far-fetched, but I really don't like to see the strong killing the weak, especially those who have cultivated to the point of being neither human nor ghost, killing ordinary people. The red-robed old man coldly snorted and threatened, "There's a saying that good and evil can't coexist. But I can warn you that the person behind my family is a terrifying existence you can't even imagine. He needs our family to provide them with human souls and blood, and our family needs cultivation techniques to become stronger. If you dare to shake the foundation of our family and destroy the situation they have painstakingly arranged, I'm sure they will find you soon and tear you to pieces." Suddenly, he blinked and grinned. "I'm really sorry. What I said was a bit light. Even if they tear you to pieces, it won't be enough to vent the hatred in their hearts. They will definitely extract your souls and imprison you in the boundless ghost fire to burn you forever, making you wail in extreme pain and turn into ashes." Tan Xiu's expression slightly changed. He could feel the temperature of the surrounding air plummeting by more than 10 degrees. Along with the gust of cold wind, 4 black flames appeared out of thin air. What a bunch of tricks. Tan Xiao snorted coldly. Immediately, a black sickle appeared in Gu Yen's hand. As the sickle gently swept in front of her, two shrill screams rang out. Two clouds of black smoke transformed into human figures, two guys brimming with yin energy and were cut in half at the waist, wailing in pain on the ground. Damn it! What kind of terrifying person did your Lien family provoke? Immortal force? You're from the immortal world. The other two balls of ghost fire transformed into black mist and finally condensed into two figures. They had cyan faces and fangs in their mouths, making them look particularly ugly. Gu Yen flicked her fingers and imprisoned the two ghosts. She then sneered and said, "You're just some lowly ghost generals of the underworld, yet you dare to meddle in the affairs of the mortal world? Is there something wrong with your underworld? Is the Ghost King here no longer restraining you? Please spare our lives, immortal." The two ghost generals screamed in great panic. Their voices were sharp, like the sound of foam rubbing against glass, very harsh to the ears. Between April 1st and April 7th, 2017, this book will be free for 7 days on the QQ Reading app and Chidian Reading app. This is a small benefit to repay the many fans who have supported Silent Night for so many years. Friends who like Silent Night can download the app to read. Chapter 903. After inquiring, Tan Xiao finally understood the reason. It turned out that these four ghost generals obtained an ancient secret technique in the netherworld and learned how to connect the netherworld and the mortal world from it. Coincidentally, the end of the passageway they opened was the Lien family's residence. So to say, the underworld Great Array and the netherworld Great Array were arranged by the four of you? The netherworld cultivation technique practiced by the Lien family was also taught by you? Asked Tan Xiao in a deep voice. Yes, please spare our lives, exalted immortal. Replied the two ghost kings with fear and trepidation. Tan Xiao shook his head. Having figured out the root cause of the matter, he no longer cared about anything else. He turned to look at Gu Yen, and lightly said, "Let it all end." All right. A murderous glint flashed in Gu Yen's eyes as she instantly killed the two ghost monarchs and the Lien clan's 49 ancestors. In her eyes, whether it was the Ghost Kings or the Lien family's ancestors, all of them were like ants. She, who had killed countless people, didn't care about them at all. Yen, search the souls of all the Lien family's clansmen and erase all those who practice the ghost underworld technique, said Tan Xiao. Also, kill all the martial artists of the Lien family. What about the old, the weak, women and children? Asked Gu Yen. Spare those who don't have the ability to participate in the Lien family's evil deeds. Said Tan Xiao indifferently. Remember, we can't kill the innocent, but we can't let anyone who deserves to be killed go. A few minutes later. All the people who practiced the netherworld cultivation technique in the Lien family manor died silently, including dozens of martial artists. Even Gu Yen had thoroughly figured out the situation of the Lien family's people through the soul search. Finally, dozens of other Lien family members who deserved to be killed in various parts of the country also died silently. Of course, whether it was the underworld Great Array, the netherworld Great Array, or the blood pool on the altar, Gu Yen had taken them all back. In addition, the passageway was naturally destroyed by her. Go back. Tan Xiao waited for Gu Yen to finish doing these things and ordered in a deep voice. In an instant, Tan Xiao, Gu Yen, and Miao Wentong, Moo, and the others, who were waiting near the Lien family's manor house, all returned to the Miao family's manor house and returned to the living room of the villa where Miao Wentong lived. How was it, Brother Tang? Miao Wentong had been waiting for news. When he realized that he and the others had returned, he immediately asked anxiously. Everything has been solved. Tan Xiao nodded and said, this malignant tumor of the Lien family has been completely eradicated. However, there is something I need you to do. Miao Wentong asked in disbelief, it's not a problem for me to do something, but you said it's all settled. How did you solve it? It hasn't been long since you entered the Lien family's mountain villa, right? Old brother Miao, we've killed all the clansmen of the Lien family who practiced nether realm cultivation techniques, Tan Xiu said with a faint smile. In fact, all of the Lien clan's cultivators had died. From now on, the Lien family would no longer exist in the strange doors. As for the remaining members of this family, let them live and die on their own. Miao Wentong looked at Tan Xiu and Gu Yan, in shock, especially Gu Yan, Her strength had shocked him to the point that it was hard for him to recover. After being silent for a long while, he said, "What do you want me to do, Brother Tang?" "Tell the Miao family to take the blame. Tell them that the Lien family was eliminated by your family," said Tan Xiu. "But it's not without benefits. You only need to leave some of the Lien family's properties to the remaining members, while the rest will belong to your family. Can you lend Ao and his brothers to me for a few days?" Miao Wentong hesitated. The Lien family is, after all, a member of the Strange Doors. I need some experts to help me in case they have a good relationship with the Lien family. Tan Xiu nodded. He then looked at Mo Ao and the others and said, "You all stay in Ning City for the time being and listen to Brother Miao's arrangement. Come back to me after you've completely solved the Lien family's matter." "Understood." Mo Ao and the others replied respectfully. "I want to go to Jingmen Island, Tan Xiu," said Shuiyu suddenly. Tan Xiu hesitated for a moment. He looked at the smiling Gu Yan, and immediately nodded. "Yan, since Shuiyu wants to go to Jingmen Island, take her with you when you go back. Although she has obtained Dao Master Guai's inheritance and her cultivation has soared, she still can't control her own power. Help her well and improve her state of mind as soon as possible." "Don't worry." Gu Yan, chuckled. "I know what to do." The next moment, Tan Xiu had returned to Shanghai. It was Gu Yan who sent him back. The two women didn't stay in Shanghai and directly went to Jingmen Island. Blue Star Villa Complex. After washing up, Tan Xiu recalled the recent events and a bitter smile appeared on his handsome face. He had painstakingly studied the 6 starlight array diagram and finally opened the immortal trove. Yet, it turned out that he had made a wedding dress for others and risked having his identity exposed. Forget it. It can be considered as keeping the goodies within the family. Sitting on the bed, Tan Xiu couldn't help but sigh. Suddenly, he remembered the mobile he threw into the interspatial ring. He hadn't checked it for so many days, so he didn't know if there was anything else. However, when he took it out, he found that it was out of battery and automatically shut down. A few minutes later, Tan Xiu charged it and turned it on. He then received a lot of text messages, many of which called him, but the most he received were 2 numbers. One was Zhang Xinyue's number, which he didn't expect, and the other was an unfamiliar number. However, he didn't rush to return the call since it was late at night. He felt that it was more important to sleep first. After all, he hadn't slept for 4 or 5 days. Early morning. Tan Xiu was awakened by the ringtone of his mobile. When he opened his eyes and grabbed the phone, he found that the caller was Zhang Xinyue. Strange. What's wrong with her? Why does she keep calling me? Tan Xiu pondered for a moment before he pressed the answer button and said, "Xinyue, it's Tan Xiu." Zhang Xinyue's grumbling voice came out of the phone, "Tan Xiu, you finally turned on your phone. I've been calling you these days, but I couldn't get through to you. Where are you now? I have an urgent matter to talk to you." "Blue Star Villa Complex," said Tan Xiu. "What's the urgent matter?" asked Tan Xiu. Zhang Xinyue was silent for a moment and then said, "It's not about me, but my big sister." "Tan Xiu, can you see my big sister?" "What's wrong with Xinya?" asked Tan Xiu, confused. "My big sister has been in a bad mood recently," said Zhang Xinyue bitterly. "She's been in a bad mood ever since she came back from Qingqing Mountain. Especially recently, she's been torturing herself. She's desperately taking jobs and commercial performances, flying around the world almost every day. I met her a few days ago, and then I found out that she's lost more than 10 pounds. Tan Xiao opened his mouth and helplessly said, Xinyue, you know that it's impossible between me and your big sister. If I contact her now, I can only stimulate her, and it won't do her any good. When it comes to relationships, I think it's best to cut through the Gordian knot. I naturally know that cutting the Gordian knot is the best result, said Zhang Xinyue bitterly. But I'm afraid she won't be able to bear it if she continues to torture herself like this. Tan Xiao, my big sister is the most important person in my heart. I can't watch her get into trouble and be indifferent. Even if I know that it's not a good choice for her to be with you, I can't care about it anymore. Tan Xiao fell into silence. The thread of love could never be cut and sorted out. Since he couldn't give Zhang Xinyue a future, the only thing he could do was to make her give up the thought that it was better for her to suffer for a short time than to prolong the pain. However, she was so stubborn that it gave him a headache. What Zhang Xinyue said might be right. If she couldn't bear it and an accident happened to her, he was afraid that he would carry the guilt toward her for a long time. Where is she now? After weighing the pros and cons, Tan Xiao forced a smile and asked. She flew to Tea Country yesterday. I couldn't stop her no matter how hard I tried, said Zhang Xinyue. I'll send the specific address to your mobile phone. All right. Tan Xiao replied and hung up the phone. Suddenly, he recalled that he saw another unfamiliar number last night. It was the number that called him dozens of times in the past few days. He then dialed it back. Boss Tang. An excited voice came from the phone. I'm Tan Xiao speaking. May I ask who is this? Said Tan Xiao. I'm Yang Pengchao. I'm Yang Pengchao who sold you the jade monkey. Didn't you send someone to bring my girlfriend, Yuli's mother to Shanghai? We've already brought her to Shanghai, but we couldn't get in touch with you. Yang Pengchao's voice came from the phone. Tan Xiao stared blankly for a moment. He immediately let out a hollow laugh and said, I'm really sorry. I've encountered some things recently, so I forgot about it. Where are you now? I'll go to you after the party. We're at the Paradise Manor. Said Yang Pengchao. Wait for me there. I'll be there in an hour, said Tan Xiao. Originally, Tan Xiao thought that there were not many things left after opening the immortal trove. He didn't expect that things would happen one after another. It was as if there was a pair of hands constantly pushing him forward. Zhang Xinyue's matter, Yang Pengchao's future mother-in-law's matter, his own preparations to go to Nine Dragons Island, and even the jade pig that he was waiting for news to come to Tea Country, one after another, he realized that he was really busy. When Tan Xiao thought of Nine Dragons Island, he immediately called Long Zhengyu and learned that the project there had reached the final step. It was estimated that it would enter the final stage in half a month at most. And he needed to go there personally to finish the finishing work. Tan Xiao, I just returned to Star City a few days ago and need to deal with some things here. I should go to Nine Dragons Island in a week. When will you be there? Long Zhengyu finally smelled something on the phone. Tan Xiao thought for a moment and said, I'll rush to Nine Dragons Island from somewhere else a week later. Let's keep in touch by phone. That's right, if you pass by Hong Kong after going to Nine Dragons Island, go to the Grand Fortune Jewelry's headquarters in Hong Kong and ask Hao Lei for some jade stones. Also, help me bring them there on the way. All right. Long Zhengyu replied and hung up the phone. Chapter 904. In the hot summer, the Paradise Manor's business was particularly booming due to its beautiful environment and picturesque scenery. Even in the morning, Tan Xiao found many guests scattered everywhere. Many of them were families of 3 or couples enjoying the sunshine and beautiful scenery. Interesting. As excavators and cranes appeared in his line of sight, a smile appeared on Tan Xiao's face. Ouyang Lulu had previously mentioned to him that she was preparing to build a resort hotel in a spacious and empty space in the Paradise Manor, turning it into a top-notch resort. Now that those construction vehicles appeared, they should be ready to start construction. Knock, knock, Just as Tan Xiu stopped the car and looked at the construction vehicles in the distance, someone knocked on the window from the outside. Tan Xiu looked outside and immediately saw Ouyang Lulu bending down, revealing her white and deep skin, with her billowy breasts. With a faint smile, Tan Xiu opened the door and got off. He looked at Ouyang Lulu, who was clad in a fiery red dress with her flowing black hair, and said with a smile, "Are you ready to build a resort hotel?" "Yeah." Ouyang Lulu giggled. "I'm looking forward to your coming back." Tan Xiu stared blankly for a moment before he couldn't help laughing and said, "What are you looking forward to my coming back for?" "I don't know anything about building a resort hotel, so I can only help you draw the architectural drawings at most." Ouyang Lulu raised her brows and immediately patted the back of her head in annoyance, saying, "I'm really muddle-headed. I forgot that you can draw architectural drawings. What a loss. I even spent money to find someone to design a resort hotel for me. No need, no need. Besides that, you have to hurry up and draw the design for our exclusive hotel." "No problem," Tan Xiu said with a smile. "But what's the other thing you mentioned?" Ouyang Lulu stretched out her hand and said with a sneaky smile, "I don't have enough money. I want money." Cough, cough. Tan Xiu was at a loss whether he had to cry or laugh. "If I remember correctly, you told me a few days ago that the Paradise Manor's turnover is very good. Isn't it a gold mine every day? It has been operating for more than half a year, yet you're still short of money?" Ouyang Lulu giggled and said, "You don't know how expensive daily necessities are, do you? I earn a lot, but I also spend a lot of money. The most important thing is that I'm going to build a 5-star hotel, so the money I earned in this half a year is naturally not enough." Tan Xiu suddenly understood. He pondered for a moment and then said, "All right. I'll check how much money I have in my account later. Since you want to build according to the 5-star standard, then let's do it." Ouyang giggled and said, Ouyang Lulu giggled. "Is there anything else?" asked Tan Xiu, confused. Ouyang Lulu blinked her eyes and whispered, "Can I owe a debt or not? Can I owe everlasting debt to Everlasting Feast Hall?" "What debt do you owe the Everlasting Feast Hall?" "I need to cultivate." "Cultivation. Cultivation needs cultivation resources, and the Everlasting Feast Hall's medicinal pills are too expensive. If I were to expand the Paradise Manor, I would be poor for a long time." Yang Paradise Manor. N of Manor. Manor. Tan Xiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said, "If you need medicinal pills, just ask me directly. Let's go, I'll treat you Li's mother first. After I'm done, I'll give you some pills. I guarantee that you won't have to worry about cultivation resources for the next few years." "That's great." Ouyang Lulu was overjoyed. She hugged Tan Xiu's neck and kissed his face. Nearby, 2 young men were walking toward the direction of the parking lot. One of them, a handsome young man, saw Ouyang Lulu's action and immediately revealed a look of disbelief. His eyes shifted to Tan Xiu's body and turned hostile. Yang, your love rival has appeared." Wang Wei had a faint smile on his face as he glanced at Yang beside him. Then, he took out a cigarette and lit it up. Only then did he smile slowly. Yang ignored Wang Wei and looked at Ouyang Lulu and Tan Xiu coming toward him. He strode forward to greet them and asked in a deep voice, "Lulu, who is he?" Upon seeing the 2 men in front of her, Ouyang Lulu's flower-like smile immediately disappeared and was replaced with an angry expression. She coldly snorted and said, Yang, how many times have I told you that you can't call me Lulu? Please call me by my full name. Also, who he is has nothing to do with you. Scram as far as you can from me, else don't blame me for being rude to you." Yang angrily glared at Tan Xiu and said in a deep voice, "I don't give a damn who you are. Lulu is the woman I like. Stay away from her in the future." "Who are you?" asked Tan Xiu. "Who am I?" Yang sneered. "I'm someone you can't afford to provoke. Know your place and get the fuck out of here, else the consequences will be very serious." Tan Xiu couldn't help laughing and shook his head. He then looked at Ouyang Lulu and asked, "Where did this guy come from? Is he pursuing you?" "He's from Chuan Province, an ancient martial arts aristocratic family, the Yang family," said Ouyang Lulu. "My mom and his mother have some friendship, so I put up with him, else I would have driven him away long ago." Tan Xiu had never heard of this family, so he looked at Yang Yang and said, "Young man, it's fine if you like beautiful women. Chase them yourself if you have the ability. Don't threaten others with a childish tone. Also, it's best to figure out the identity of others before you act arrogantly and threaten them, else it's easy to attract a calamity to your family." Yang Yang's expression turned uglier. He was annoyed by Ouyang Lulu's words and Tan Xiu's attitude, so he angrily shouted, "Brat, you're courting death. Wait." Wang Wei, who stood at the side, put his hand on Yang Yang's shoulder and looked at Tan Xiu with a bit of curiosity in his eyes. Then, he said, "Friend, you're right. Being arrogant and domineering without figuring out the other party's identity is indeed something only stupid people would do. But we're all young men, so there's no need to be secretive. Can you tell us who you are?" Tan Xiu gently hugged Ouyang Lulu in his arms and chuckled, "I'm her man. Is this identity enough?" Wang Wei shook his head and sighed, "You look young. You should be 21 or 22 years old, no? I just thought it was ridiculous for you to call Yang Yang a young man. But now it seems that it's really ridiculous. You don't even dare to say who you are. Alas. Who are you?" asked Tan Xiu. "Singapore, Wang family," answered Wang Wei. "A Singaporean Chinese?" asked Tan Xiu curiously. "Could it be that your family can extend their hands into China?" "You don't need to worry about whether my family can extend their hands into China or not," said Wang Wei confidently. "Of course, I'm not like you who hides and doesn't dare to say it. My family is preparing to carry out a large-scale investment in China in the near future, and our industry will gradually move back. Therefore, it won't be long before my name, Wang Wei, will appear in China's business circle." "Congratulations," said Tan Xiu with a smile. "I guarantee that your Wang family's industry won't be able to return to China because of your cynicism. Just wait and see if you don't believe me." Wang Wei rolled his eyes and ridiculed, "Who do you think you are? You think you can represent the country's will? You think you can push the money out of the door? You're really stupid." Ouyang Lulu shot a sympathetic look at Wang Wei and said, "What he said is true. I'm afraid your Wang family's business strategy will be aborted. I thought you were better than this Yang Yang, but I never thought that you would stand up for such a guy and ruin the chance of your Wang family to develop in China." Wang Wei slightly furrowed his brows and looked at Tan Xiu with a solemn expression, saying, "Friend, I'll ask you again. Who are you?" Tan Xiu didn't want to bother with these two guys, so he directly mentioned the Tang family. "Imperial capital, Tang family, Tan Xiu." Yang Yang sneered, "The children of those officials in the imperial capital? No wonder you're so arrogant and dare to threaten us. However, my Yang family is an ancient martial arts family. Your family's heritage isn't something your family can compare with. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't court disaster for your family. Otherwise, humph." "Otherwise what?" Tan Xiu's face turned cold and asked in a deep voice. "Otherwise, your Tang family will suffer heavy losses, and you and your close relatives will also suffer crazy revenge." Yang Yang snorted coldly. "Don't think I'm just scaring you. You don't know the Yang family's heritage. Lulu, if you really want him to get the hell out of here immediately, you must know the strength of my Yang family, right? Idiot." Ouyang Lulu cursed. She then turned to look at Tan Xiu and said, "I'll tell you first. His mother has a good relationship with my mom. If the Yang family is destroyed, his mother will definitely seek shelter from my mom. Dear, you must give Auntie a way out for my sake when the time comes." Tan Xiu was at a loss whether to cry or laugh. "Why do you say that I'm a homicidal maniac? Just because of such a trivial matter, I won't go so far as to destroy their entire family. After saying that, he took out his mobile and dialed Gu Xiaoshua's number. After the other party picked up, he said, "Investigate the Yang family in Chuan province for me. I don't know the specifics of this family. I'll tell Lulu to tell you later." "Yes, Grand Master," Gu Xiaoshua respectfully replied. However, she hesitated and suddenly asked, "Grand Master, you really agree to let my master be your woman? Just like Miss Shui?" Tan Xiu stared blankly and immediately let out a wry smile. "Why are you asking about these things, child? Just focus on your cultivation." "I'm not young anymore, Grand Master." "I'm older than you," said Gu Xiaoshua angrily. "You're just a child in my eyes," said Tan Xiu. After saying that, Tan Xiu directly hung up the phone. Yang Yang and Wang Wei exchanged glances. They were keenly aware of the sensitive word cultivation in Tan Xiu's call just now. Could it be, he's also a cultivator? Yang Yang took a deep breath and sneered. "If my guess is correct, you should be a martial artist, right? I'm hailed as the cultivation genius of my family, the strongest among the younger generation. How about we have a match? I won't bully you, so I'll let you use only one hand." "Not interested." Tan Xiu lightly shook his head. A cold glint flashed in Yang Yang's eyes as he instantly dashed toward Tan Xiu. His fist was very fast, mixed with the whistling sound of the wind, and quickly smashed in front of Tan Xiu. Tan Xiu's complexion slightly changed. He didn't expect that this guy would directly attack him, even ignoring Ouyang Lulu in his arms. Chapter 905. Tan Xiu had always adhered to the principle of, "I won't offend others if they don't offend me, but I'll definitely offend them if they offend me." He was originally too lazy to deal with a nobody like Yang Yang. However, he didn't expect that this guy would attack him without a second thought. Scram! The seemingly light punch directly collided with Yang Yang's fist. As the sound of bones breaking rang out, Yang Yang let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire arm was instantly twisted, and his body was sent flying by the huge recoil, smashing into the cement floor 7 or 8 meters away. Wang Wei's pupils shrunk with a horrified expression. He knew that Yang Yang's strength was something that even he was ashamed of being inferior to. However, he never expected that Yang Yang would be defeated so miserably in just a single exchange of fists between the two of them. "How are you?" Wang Wei was scared and dashed to Yang Yang's side. He helped him sit up and asked with a concerned expression. Yang Yang looked at Tan Xiu in disbelief as though he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. He was very strong and couldn't be compared to a martial arts grandmaster. Ordinary experts wouldn't be able to last long in front of him. But how did he lose just like that? Tan Xiu disdainfully glanced at Yang Yang and indifferently said, "I didn't even use my full strength to kill the Amur tiger in the imperial capital last year. I didn't even use 1% of my strength, yet you lost so miserably. So I'm really too lazy to deal with a nobody like you, but I didn't expect you to be so reckless." "The Amur tiger?" Yang Yang stared blankly and suddenly realized something. He endured the heart-wrenching pain in his fist and arm as he struggled to get up from the ground and hurriedly shouted, "Did you kill the Amur tiger?" "Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. The one who killed the Amur tiger is from the imperial capital." His expression froze and his body couldn't help but shiver a few times. Who among the ancient martial arts families in the country didn't know how terrifying the Amur tiger was? Everyone knew that the Amur tiger was not a martial artist, but a cultivator. The news that the Amur tiger, who had lived for such a long time and possessed astonishing strength, was killed in the imperial capital had long been spread everywhere. The Tang family. Imperial capital Tang family. Yang Yang hadn't thought of this earlier, so he wasn't afraid of those families in the imperial capital. However, when he thought of the Manchurian tiger's death, his entire body turned cold, and his heart felt as if it had fallen into an ice cave. This was because these ancient martial families were willing to provoke any other family, but not the imperial capital's Tang clan. He still clearly remembered what his father had said to him. If I'm not mistaken, the imperial capital's Tang family has a powerful expert. This expert should be a martial cultivator, but if he's not a martial cultivator, his martial arts cultivation has definitely reached a terrifying level. I'm afraid he alone can slaughter the entire Yang family. Never in Yang Yang's wildest dreams would he have imagined that the terrifying powerhouse that his father had once mentioned would actually be this young man in his early 20s. Wang Wei, however, was oblivious to this. Despite knowing that he was not Tang Xiu's opponent after seeing his brother being severely injured, he still looked up angrily and said in a deep voice, "Friend, aren't you a bit too ruthless? Killing someone is but a simple matter, yet you directly crippled his arm. Don't you know what it means for a martial artist? If I wasn't very strong and was just an ordinary person, that punch of his would have taken half of my life." Tang Xiu sneered. "I only crippled his arm, so it should be considered a light mercy, right?" Wang Wei was immediately at a loss for words. He was aware of Yang Yang's strength and knew that Tang Xiu was right. Yang Yang just flew into a rage out of shame and didn't show any mercy. Tang Xiu looked at them with disgust and waved his hand, saying, "Just get the hell out of here. Don't think you can be arrogant and domineering just because you have some martial arts and a good family background. I'm kind-hearted and I don't want to bother with you. Else, let alone you, even your family will be implicated. You're very strong, but I'm afraid you're still lacking compared to that mouth of yours," said Wang Wei angrily. "We'll see what happens in the future." "Ignorant." Tang Xiu shook his head. He really didn't feel like looking at them and walked toward the manor with Ouyang Lulu. This matter was just a small episode for him and didn't affect him much. However, he still had to investigate the background of Yang Yang's family to avoid being entangled in this matter in the future. If the other party dared to provoke him again, he would teach his family a lesson. "Lulu, when you talk to Xiao Xue about the Yang family, remember to ask her to send some people to the Yang family to intimidate them." "That's right, I'll use this method to challenge them." "Dear, you're going to make the Yang family lose face in the ancient martial arts world," said Ouyang Lulu with a strange expression. "Losing a bit of face is better than having your whole family exterminated, no?" said Tang Xiu. "I destroyed a family in Ning City last night." Ouyang Lulu pursed her lips. She obviously didn't believe Tang Xiu's words. "If you were in Ning City last night, it's impossible for you to return to Demonic City this morning. Even if we're talking big, we can't leave any loopholes, can we?" Tang Xiu couldn't help laughing. He didn't feel like arguing with Ouyang Lulu about such a pointless topic. After walking inside, he quickly saw Yang Pengchao and Yuli, near the parking lot. A cold glint flashed in Wang Wei's eyes as he looked at Tang Xiu's back as he left. Then, he said in a heavy tone, "What an arrogant guy. He's relying on his strength to be so arrogant and despotic. Today's enmity is set. Sooner or later, I'll make him look good." Yang Yang shook his head with a complicated expression. He took a deep breath and bitterly said, "Forget it, Wang Wei. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Besides, we can't deal with him." "What did you say?" Wang Wei frowned with dissatisfaction. His arm was crippled, yet he still spoke in such a subservient manner. "Don't you know that boosting others' morale and lowering your own prestige is the most stupid thing to do?" Yang Yang shook his head and said, "You don't know about the Amur tiger in the northeast. Otherwise, you wouldn't have said that. Forget it. I admit defeat today. Ouyang Lulu is his woman, so I've decided to give up." "What the fuck are you talking about?" Wang Wei angrily said. "I've really misjudged you. I thought you were a man before, but I didn't expect you to be such a coward. So what if he's very powerful? Is he more powerful than a bullet? At worst, I'll just spend some money to hire some powerful assassins to get rid of him silently." Yang Yang's pupils shrunk and he quickly looked around. After finding no one around, he felt a bit relieved and shouted, "Can you not talk nonsense? Even if you want to die, don't use this method. Let me tell you something. If he really killed a Moor tiger, let alone a powerful assassin, even the world's #1 assassin, Spectre, can't kill him. Wang Wei fiercely slapped Yang Yang's face. Then, he pointed at his nose and cursed, "Coward. Did he scare you, silly? The world's #1 assassin, Spectre, can't kill him. I think the Spectre could kill 10,000 people like him. Fuck, I've seen Spectre kill people before. Although it was a coincidence that I saw it with binoculars from 2 kilometers away, I can guarantee that Spectre can pinch him to death with just one finger." "You're wrong. I can't kill him either." Spectre, who was wearing a black martial arts robe and had his arms crossed, appeared next to a tree about 5 meters away from them. He leaned on the tree and said with a sigh. Yang Yang's expression drastically changed. He had just observed the surroundings and believed that there was no one else within dozens of meters. So, how did this guy come here? Could it be that he's a ghost? After seeing Spectre's face, Wang Wei's legs went soft and he nearly knelt on the ground. He grabbed Yang Yang's arm and staggered back a few steps. Then, he stuttered, You're Spectre. Spectre? The world's #1 assassin, Spectre. Didn't you just say that you've seen me kill people by chance? Spectre lightly smiled. What's the fuss about? Is there a need to make such a fuss? Wang Wei released Yang Yang with deep fear in his eyes. He directly knelt down, looked at Spectre and cried, please don't kill us. If someone pays you to kill us, I'm willing to pay 10 times. No. I'm willing to pay 20 times the price. Please spare our lives. Yang Yang was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that Spectre would appear just like that. The #1 assassin in the world, Spectre, had actually appeared in front of them. But, how did he come to China? How did he come to Shanghai? How did he come to Paradise Manor? Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Or, could it be that Wang Wei made a mistake? Spectre lazily raised his head and looked at the glaring sun. He shook his head and sighed, boring. That's really boring. I thought I could kill 2 chicks to relieve my boredom, but I didn't expect that you guys wouldn't dare to provoke my boss face to face and only dare to talk behind his back. Merciful, too merciful. This boss of mine really has no passion in his life. Boss? Spectre's boss. Yang Yang and Wang Wei suddenly thought of Tan Xiu, and a look of disbelief immediately appeared on their faces. To confirm his speculation, Yang Yang hurriedly asked, You mean Tan Xiu is your boss? How is this possible? What qualifications does he have to be your boss? You're the world's #1 assassin. Spectre rolled his eyes and snappily said, What my boss just said is right. You guys are really ignorant. Just like there's a saying in China that says frogs at the bottom of a well. That's right. You guys are really frogs at the bottom of a well. You can't even imagine the strength my boss has. Forget it. You won't know it even if I tell you. Anyhow, he seems to have become stronger after coming back this time. Even if he doesn't deliberately release his aura, my legs are still trembling. Chapter 906. Spectre was bored to the point that he felt happy teasing these 2 idiots. He almost burst into laughter when he saw their frightened expressions and shivering bodies. 13 years. 13 years of tempering his state of mind had nearly suffocated him to death, so he became a chatterbox ever since he came to Shanghai from Jingmen Island. He chatted with the auntie who sold the tickets, the tourists on the same bus, the driver, and the security guards at the entrance. In short, he would never miss any chance to waste his saliva. A day in heaven was equivalent to a year on earth. He finally understood the meaning of this sentence. He was thrown into a peculiar array by that fairy-like woman in the Everlasting Feast Hall's HQ in Jingmen Island. The passage of time inside was simply unimaginable. Only when he came out of the array did he realize that it was a time acceleration array. And that woman was called Gu Yan, the boss's apprentice. That's right. I seem to have recalled something. Ghost looked at the two of them, whose faces were filled with fear, and suddenly winked at them. Wang Wei gulped and asked with a trembling heart, what did you recall? Ever since I stepped into the world of assassins, it seems that every spectator who sees me killing people will eventually have their heads cut off, their hearts pierced, and their legs and arms chopped off. You just said that you saw me killing people. Should I cut off your head or pierce your heart? Or should I pierce your heart? Or should I chop off your legs and arms? This kind of multiple choice question really gives me a headache. No. Please spare me. Wang Wei cried out in horror. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have meddled in other people's business. I shouldn't have provoked your boss. I'll apologize. I'll immediately apologize to him, even if I have to kneel and kowtow. He was afraid. The fear came from Spectre, but more from Tan Xiu. Who was Spectre? He was the dignified number one assassin in the world of assassins, a ruthless character that even the heads of state dreaded. Yet, such a ruthless person turned out to be Tan Xiu's subordinate. It was simply unimaginable. At this moment, even if he used his toes to think, he could imagine that the terrifying energy Tan Xiu possessed had absolutely reached a horrifying level. He was still young, and he didn't want to die, so he could only put down his pride, bend his spine, and curl up his knees. Even if he had to kneel down and beg for mercy, he still hoped to live. A smile was outlined on the corner of Spectre's mouth as he said, Actually, my boss likes money very much. I may regard money as dirt, but my boss likes it. However, I don't know how much your lives are worth. Tell me, I will only give you one chance. An ecstatic expression appeared on Wang Wei's face as he said without hesitation, 240 million. That's all I have. As long as you don't kill me, I will immediately transfer the money to your boss's account. Yang was stunned. Although he could be considered a rich man, in the past, he cared more about practicing martial arts and did not deliberately seek for money. He didn't even have 4 million, let alone 240 million. Can you give me some time? I have no money now, but my family has money. I'll make a call to ask for the money immediately. Give me some time. I'll ask how much money I can get, said Yang bitterly. Spectre rolled his eyes and said, You still have to pay 240 million. Even a penny less means that your life is not as valuable as this guy's. It's just a cheap life, so I don't want it. Yang shuddered and immediately grabbed his mobile phone. After dialing a cell number, he hurriedly said, I need money, Mom. I need 240 million. Don't ask me why. I can only tell you that it's related to my life and death. Give me the money, else you'll only see my dead body. What the hell happened, son? A hurried voice came out of the phone. Yang raised his voice and hurriedly cried, Don't ask me first, Mom. Hurry up and transfer the money to me. Save me. Only money can save me now. All right. Don't worry. I'll get the money right away, said the panicked voice from the phone again. Yang hung up and cautiously looked at Spectre, saying, I'll transfer the money to you soon. Please wait for a while. Spectre let out a strange laugh and said, It seems you two cherish your lives very much. All right, I'll spare your lives since you're willing to pay the money honestly. But I can't break my rules. I don't care how strong the force behind you is, but I'll kill you and your loved ones by hook or by crook if you dare to speak a word about me to outsiders. Yes. We'll never speak a word to anyone. We dare not. Yang and Wang Wei promised in fear and trepidation. Spectre proudly smiled and said, Get the money ready. Go apologize to my boss in person. Having said that, his figure instantly disappeared. Yang and Wang Wei exchanged glances. After a long while, Yang muttered to himself, Is he a human or a ghost? He can actually vanish into thin air. He didn't vanish into thin air. It's just that his speed is too fast. We can't see him clearly with our naked eyes. I'm afraid only the world's #1 assassin can have such a terrifying speed. You're right, Yang Yang. We've provoked a terrifying existence, so let's admit our defeat today. Alright. Yang Yang took a deep breath and nodded helplessly. In the depths of the Paradise Manor, Yang Pengchao and Yuli stood by the window of a Western-style building in the woods, waiting for Tan Xiu's arrival. Behind the two of them was a pale, dispirited middle-aged woman. She leaned against the headboard of the bed, her eyes filled with the desire to live. These days, she had inquired about the young divine Dr. Tang Xiu's affairs, and the result made her, who had been in despair, see the hope to live again. Pengchao, Lily, has divine Dr. Tang not come yet? Asked Cui Yenru while looking at the backs of the two children. The two turned around and Yuli said, Mom, divine Dr. Tang said he'll be here in an hour, so he'll definitely be able to do it. He's a man who keeps his promises. Lily is right, Auntie. Yang Pengchao nodded and said, divine Dr. Tang pays attention to his promises the most. Don't worry, he might be here soon. I was too impatient. Cui Yenru nodded. But there's something I need to talk to you about before divine Dr. Tang arrives. Please tell me, Auntie, said Yang Pengchao. Pengchao, you all know about my illness. The chance of surviving this disease is really too small, said Cui Yenru bitterly. I don't doubt divine Dr. Tang's medical level, but it's absolutely rare for someone with severe leukemia to be cured. If divine Dr. Tang can't cure me, I hope you can treat Lily well in the future. I know my daughter very well. She has chosen you, so she'll treat you wholeheartedly. I believe divine Dr. Tang can cure your illness, Auntie, said Yang Pengchao. However, in order to reassure you, I have to promise you that no matter what happens in the future, I will never leave Yuli. I will take good care of her. Cui Yenru happily nodded and happily said, Lily is blessed. Yuli walked to the bedside and sat down. She pulled her mother's hand and said, I believe you'll live to a ripe old age, Mom. Pengchao's parents are gone and he has no relatives left. You're the only one left, and we must be filial to you and take care of you in the future. Therefore, you must be strong and believe in divine Dr. Tang and actively cooperate with his treatment. I'm sure you'll get better. Alright, near the window. Yang Pengchao silently turned his head to look outside the window. A pleasantly surprised look immediately appeared on his face as he quickly said, divine Dr. Tang is here. Lily, you stay here with Auntie. I'm going to pick him up. No need to pick me up. Tan Xiu's voice suddenly sounded in Yang Pengchao's ears. After a while, the door was pushed open from the outside as Tan Xiu and Ouyang Lulu strode inside. You, Yang Pengchao was dumbfounded. He dared to swear to God that Tan Xiu and Ouyang Lulu were on the path outside the Western-style building a few seconds ago, and they were still dozens of meters away from the building. But how did they come upstairs in just a few seconds? How could they appear in front of him? Even the fastest 100-meter sprint champion in the world wouldn't be able to do this. Tan Xiu let out a faint smile and winked at him. Then, he looked at Cui Yenru on the sickbed and smilingly said, You must be Yuli's mother, right? I'm Tan Xiu and she's Ouyang Lulu. Cui Yenru wanted to struggle to get up, but Tan Xiu stopped her. She leaned on the bed and said with a grateful face, Hello, divine Dr. Tang. I've long heard of your great name. Boss Lulu is a good person and has been taking care of us these days. You're all good people. Thank you. You're welcome. Tan Xiu said with a smile, If you want to thank someone, thank Yang Pengchao. He's a good young man with a promising future. I agree with the matter of these two children, said Cui Yenru. In fact, I also know that Pengchao is a good person. Even if I die one day, I can feel relieved to hand Lily over to him. Tan Xiu walked to the bedside and grabbed Cui Yenru's hand. While feeling her pulse, he said, As long as I, Tan Xiu, am here, you won't die unless you want to commit suicide. Leukemia isn't an incurable disease, although some cases are very difficult to treat. Half a minute later, Tan Xiao took out a porcelain bottle and handed it to Yuli, saying, "There's a drop of medicine inside that I personally concocted. Pour this drop of medicine into warm water and let your mother take a bath. Remember, the process will be very painful, but she must endure it. She should be able to endure it for about 10 minutes with her physical fitness. You must immediately take a bath after she comes out of the warm water. It will be very beneficial for you." "I also have to take a bath?" asked Yuli with a blank expression. "Not only will this potion have an effect on your mother, but it will also have a very good effect on you. Your physical fitness will be greatly enhanced as long as you can persist in the water for 10 minutes. Chapter 907. The potion Tan Xiao took out was a body-tempering potion that could cultivate the physique and muscles. It was also a good medicine for treating illnesses. As long as the potion's efficacy entered Cui Yenru's body, the white blood cells would be killed and she would be out of danger. He told Yuli to take a bath because he didn't want to waste the potion's efficacy. After receiving the porcelain bottle, Yuli asked, "Divine Dr. Tang, I'll definitely do what you told me. But when will you start treating my mother? I've given you the potion. Isn't it a treatment?" Tan Xiao said with a smile. "What do you mean?" Yuli was confused. "Soaking in a bath is a treatment?" "All right," Tan Xiao said. "You go fill the water now and take your mother to take a bath. As for the effect, you'll know after the bath. I'll stay in this paradise manor for the time being. I'll be back in 2 hours." Yuli nodded in a daze and watched Tan Xiao and Ouyang Lulu leave. Then, she looked at Yang Pengchao and whispered, "What do you think Divine Dr. Tang means? I've never heard that a leukemia patient can be cured with just a drop of potion. He's not teasing us, is he?" "Divine Dr. Tang will never tease us for no reason," said Yang Pengchao firmly. "He's called a divine doctor, so he must be very powerful. Lily, let's not question Divine Dr. Tang for now. Let Auntie try the effect. If it doesn't work, we'll find Divine Dr. Tang again and ask him to find another way." "All right." Yuli complied and carefully propped up her mother, Cui Yenru. After leaving the Western-style house. After the two entered the forest trail, Ouyang Lulu curiously asked, "Tan Xiao, can that drop of potion really cure a leukemia patient? Isn't it too inconceivable? It's a potion I personally refined. If it can't even cure an ordinary person's disease, then it's simply useless," said Tan Xiao with a smile. "Don't worry. That drop of body-refining potion will not only be effective on her, but it will also remove all the white blood cells in her body. As long as she doesn't die from an accident, she'll definitely be healthy for the rest of her life." Ouyang Lulu nodded skeptically and no longer thought about it. Instead, she smilingly said, "Did you come to have breakfast this morning? Do you want me to ask someone to prepare some food for you?" Tan Xiao smiled and said, "To be honest, I haven't eaten yet." Very soon, the two of them appeared in the dining area. Because there were some guests living here, there were many people eating breakfast in the dining area. To Tan Xiao's surprise, Moe was also in the corner of the dining area's public hall, wolfing down food. "Professor Mo," Tan Xiao walked over and sat opposite Moe. Moe looked up. When he saw Tan Xiao, he immediately said with joy, "When did you come back? Why didn't you tell me in advance? It just so happens that I have something very important to tell you." Tan Xiao's mind moved and he asked, "Have you researched the results?" "Thanks to Divine Dr. Gui Jianqiu's help, the research product has taken shape. We've tested it. Even if we haven't tested it on humans, we're very satisfied with the results. Just 2 days ago, we sent the drug to Shanghai's first public hospital and prepared to use it on patients. It can also cure diseases." Tan Xiao was surprised. Of course it can cure diseases. Moreover, it can cure many diseases, said Moe with a smile. As a matter of fact, we originally intended to experiment on healthy people, but we were afraid of the side effects, so we gave up. Let's wait and see first. If there are no side effects on patients, we'll use it on ordinary people. Tan Xiao was silent for a moment and suddenly said, I'll send someone to Shanghai's first public hospital immediately to get the results of your research. I'll arrange the people for the experiment. But the side effects? Moe quickly said. Tan Xiao raised his hand to interrupt him and said, Don't worry. As long as I'm here, even if the results of your research have side effects, I have a way to remove them. Professor Moe, I hope that you won't announce the results of your research to me for the time being. Why? Moe was confused. This is a good thing that will benefit all mankind. Moe was puzzled. Once the results of your research are spread out in advance, it will cause a sensation in the world, said Tan Xiao. At that time, countless pairs of blood-red eyes will fall on Paradise Manor and you. Therefore, we must keep it a secret in the early stage to ensure your safety. Moe thought about it and felt that Tan Xiao's words made sense, so he nodded and said, Then we'll listen to you. We've already researched it, so we don't need to worry about the following matters anymore. I'm preparing to go back to Star City in a few days. I've spent a lot of time following up on the research project there and I've made some progress, so I have to go and help. No problem. You can go back if you want, said Tan Xiao. Shortly after, Tan Xiao asked Ouyang Lulu to call an expert of the Everlasting Feast Hall. After giving him some instructions, he began to eat the meal served by Ouyang Lulu. However, just as Moe put down his chopsticks and was about to leave, Spectre swayed and walked in from the outside. Boss! Upon seeing Tan Xiao, the languid expression on Spectre's face instantly disappeared and he called out in high spirits. Tan Xiao nodded and asked, How's your immortal cultivation recently? Are you used to living in the Everlasting Feast Hall's HQ in Jingmen Island? Spectre shook his head and forced a smile. I got used to it at first, but a day feels like a year later. However, my state of mind has been improved and my cultivation has reached the early stage of foundation establishment. Tan Xiao nodded with satisfaction and said, I know that you can break through to the early stage of foundation establishment. After all, you have a very solid foundation. However, it's not appropriate to say that a day feels like a year when you're cultivating, no? Did you encounter any problems during the process? It's more than a problem. It's a big problem. Spectre sighed. Boss, your apprentice is really amazing. The array she arranged can actually. Tan Xiao raised his hand to interrupt him and calmly said, I know she's very powerful and has good attainments in arrays. You don't need to talk about this matter anymore. Since you've come to Demonic City, you'll follow me from now on. Ao and the rest are staying in Ning City to handle some things, so you'll be my driver and bodyguard later. Alright. Spectre immediately complied. Tan Xiao then looked at Moe and said, You can go back first, Professor Moe. I haven't eaten for a few days and I'm very hungry now. I'll fill my stomach first. Then, I'll take my leave first. Moe shot a deep look at Spectre. He heard the word cultivation from the conversation between Tan Xiao and Spectre. He didn't understand the meaning of cultivation before, but now he was very clear about it. It was to follow Tan Xiao to cultivate and become a legendary immortal. Mr. Tang. After Moe left the dining room, Wang Wei hurriedly ran in from the outside and came to Tan Xiao's side. He handed over a bank card and respectfully said, Mr. Tang, it's all our fault. We're young and impetuous, so please don't stoop to our level. There's 240 million yuan in this card. Consider it as compensation for offending you. Please don't think it's too little. I only have this much money in total. Who wants your money? Tan Xiao frowned. Wang Wei subconsciously glanced at Spectre and then said, I know you like money, Mr. Tang, so consider the money in this card as my apology to you. I promise I won't make the same mistake again in the future. I won't be arrogant and domineering just because I have some money from my family. Tan Xiao could tell the purpose of Wang Wei's sending the money from the change in his expression. He was sure that Spectre was definitely involved in it. However, it would be foolish not to accept the money that was given to him. After receiving the bank card, he casually threw it to Ouyang Lulu and said, "Take it. If the Paradise Manor needs any construction, just directly communicate with the people from the engineering department. Spending money is not a big deal, as the main thing is to do it well." Ouyang Lulu happily took the bank card and said, 240 million yuan is not a small amount. But it's still a lot less for our entire project investment. The other guy will also send 240 million yuan, said Spectre. After sending Wang Wei away, Tan Xiao looked at Spectre and said, "Why do you want to do this? You're not short of money, are you?" "I'm not short of money indeed," said Spectre with a chuckle. "But it's not right for me to refuse money that's delivered to my door. In any case, I don't want the compensation from the other party. You can deal with it as you see fit." Tan Xiao let out a faint smile and took out a jade bottle. He flicked his finger to Spectre and said with a light smile, "The thing inside will be very beneficial to you. Since your state of mind has been improved, you should seize the time to improve it." "Yes, yes, yes," Wang Wei repeatedly replied and then left cautiously. It didn't take long before Yang Yang also sent a bank card. This time, he no longer glanced at Ouyang Lulu and instead peeked at Spectre more. "You really gave up?" Tan Xiao looked at him and asked with a faint smile. "Boss Tang, we were indeed frogs at the bottom of the well before. We didn't know you were so powerful," said Yang Yang bitterly. Since Ouyang Lulu is your woman, I naturally don't dare to have any improper thoughts. I've given you the money, so I hope you can be magnanimous and don't make things difficult for me in the future. You really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin, huh?" Tan Xiao said with a smile. "Now you've suffered a double loss. You're Yang Yang, right? Don't become stupid from practicing martial arts later. Learn more about the ways of the world and put away your flamboyant character as soon as possible. Else, even if I spare you today, I don't know what kind of powerful characters you'll provoke in the future. At that time, maybe the other party won't be as easy to talk to as me." "Yes, yes, yes," said Yang Yang hurriedly. "I'll definitely correct it." Tan Xiao didn't want to talk to him anymore. After throwing the bank card to Ouyang Lulu, he said, "You can go now. This matter ends here. I hope you'll keep your mouth shut about some things, else you won't have a good end." Chapter 908. In a Western-style building in the depths of the Paradise Manor, Cui Yenru climbed out of the bathtub drenched in sweat and gasped for breath. The pain in her body was like being cut by a knife, causing fear to rise in her heart. She had a feeling that she would probably die if she continued to soak in the water. "Is it very painful, Mom?" Yuli supported her mother and asked with concern. Cui Yenru's body trembled. She raised her trembling arm to wipe the sweat on her flushed face and said with a slightly hoarse voice, "It's painful. It's like countless ants are biting inside my body. I've been injured before and felt pain countless times, but it's not as painful as soaking in this water. Come out quickly if you can't stand it, Lily." Yuli took a deep breath and nodded, "I know, Mom." She believed in Tan Xiao and firmly believed that Tan Xiao wouldn't harm her. After all, someone who could fulfill his promise of $100 million to them would never harm her for no reason. After taking off her clothes and stepping into the bathtub barefoot, she felt that the water temperature didn't turn cold even though her mother had been soaking in it for 10 minutes. "I can do it." Yuli clenched her fists and slowly sat in the warm water in the bathtub. At first, she felt very comfortable, but then she felt itchy inside her body, as though countless fine hairs were brushing her body. However, the pain grew inside her body in less than half a minute. "It hurts, Mom." Crystal clear tears welled up in Yuli's eyes. Her beautiful face had turned red and blue veins protruded on her forehead. Just these 3 words were squeezed out from the gaps between her teeth. Chui Yenru had rested and the pain inside her body had mostly disappeared. Looking at her daughter's painful appearance, she said with a distressed expression, "Come out if you can't stand it, Lily. Mom knows how it feels. It's too painful. Besides, you're not sick, so there's no need for you to suffer with me." Yuli looked weak, but she was extraordinarily strong inside. She trusted Tan Xiao and stubbornly shook her head. "I can do it, Mom." Time fleeted by. 5 minutes later, the painful expression on Chui Yenru's face gradually disappeared and a strange expression slowly climbed up her face. Shortly after, she felt that her body became itchy again. After the itch subsided, her whole body felt warm and the feeling of strength kept increasing. "Comfortable?" Chui Yenru stared blankly for a while before she suddenly looked at Yuli and exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "Lily, I don't feel any pain anymore. It's very comfortable. It was very comfortable. Even when I wasn't sick, I didn't feel so comfortable. Divine Dr. Tang didn't lie to us. I can feel that my strength is stronger than before." At this moment, Yuli was tormented by the pain. She even had the thought of giving up several times. But when she heard her mother's words, her spirit was immediately shaken. She gritted her teeth and continued to persevere. A few minutes later, when she felt that she really couldn't take it anymore and that her body would break if she persisted any longer, she stood up from the warm water with difficulty and stepped out of the bathtub. Outside the bathroom, Yang Pengchao paced back and forth anxiously. If it weren't for his future mother-in-law in the bathroom, he would have gone in to check on Yuli. Tan Xiao had said that soaking in warm water with that kind of medicine would be very painful. He was afraid that something might happen to Yuli. Originally, he trusted Tan Xiao very much, but he couldn't accept Tan Xiao's treatment method. Just a drop of that medicine could cure leukemia. It was like a joke to him. At this time, he was thinking about a lot of things outside the bathroom. He even thought that if Tan Xiao's treatment method didn't work, he would take his future mother-in-law abroad to the top hospitals abroad for treatment. In his view, although Chui Yenru was Yuli's mother, he also regarded her as his own mother. He could feel the warmth of a family member and an elder from Chui Yenru after getting along with her for these days. Creak, the bathroom door was opened and Yuli appeared in front of Yang Pengchao. Behind her was a neatly dressed Chui Yenru. "Yuli, you," Yang Pengchao simply couldn't believe his eyes. At this moment, Yuli seemed to have been reborn. Her whole body was like a lotus flower coming out of the water, exuding a gorgeous brilliance. Her skin seemed to be whiter than before, looking smoother and more lustrous. "What's wrong?" asked Yuli in surprise. "Why are you looking at me with this expression? Is there something wrong with my face?" Yang Pengchao sobered up from his daze and murmured, "You seem to have become more beautiful, Yuli. Your skin is also much better than before." "Really?" With a shy smile, Yuli walked out of the bathroom door and walked to the front of the mirror in the room. Yang Pengchao was about to follow her, but his eyes still swept over Chui Yenru. It was just a casual glance, but it made his body shake and a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes again. At this moment, he was really shocked. Before entering the bathroom, Chui Yenru looked dispirited and pale. Her skin didn't seem to have any luster, and she looked a bit old due to her age. But, at this moment, however, Chui Yenru seemed to be more than 10 years younger. Her skin was also lustrous and white, and she looked full of spirit. She didn't look like a leukemia patient at all. "Ah!" Standing in front of the mirror, Yuli exclaimed and covered her mouth, looking at herself in the mirror in astonishment. She had never dreamed that she would become so beautiful. She never dreamed that she would have such an amazing change, especially her skin. It was like a baby's skin. How is this possible? Yuli's heartbeat sped up. The pleasant surprise made her dumbfounded. "Haven't you noticed Auntie's appearance, Yuli?" asked Yang Pengchao quickly. "She seems to have become more than 10 years younger all of a sudden. Besides, Auntie doesn't look like a sick person to me." Yuli turned her head. Only now did she realize that her mother had indeed become different from before. Suddenly, she recalled Tan Xiu's words. She immediately looked at Yang Pengchao and said, "Do you think that drop of medicine can really cure my mom's leukemia?" Yang Pengchao thought for a moment and quickly said, "There's still some time before the 2 hours are up. How about we go to the hospital to have a checkup first?" Yuli was moved, but she recalled that there was not much time left before the 2 hours were up, so she gently shook her head and said, "I believe in divine Dr. Tang, Pengchao. He said he can cure my mom's leukemia, so she'll definitely be cured. You can also see that we've soaked in the medicinal bath, and even our appearance has become much better than before. Let's wait for him to come and then we'll talk about going to the hospital for a checkup." "Pengchao, I think Lily is right. Haste makes waste," said Cui Yenru. "Although I feel like I'm full of strength now and feel better than when I wasn't sick, I still need to persevere. However, we're not in a hurry. Let's wait for divine Dr. Tang to come and ask him about the effect first." "Alright." Yang Pengchao's confidence in Tan Xiu rose and he nodded in agreement. Half an hour later, Tan Xiu returned to the Western-style building with Ouyang Lulu. Upon seeing the changes in Cui Yenru and Yuli's appearance, he immediately said with a smile, "The external effect is good, but I don't know how the treatment effect is. Miss Cui, I'll check your pulse first and check your body's condition." Alright. Cui Yenru hurriedly replied. After taking a seat, Tan Xiu examined Cui Yenru and found that the diseased white blood cells in her body had been completely eliminated. He immediately praised the effect of the body-refining medicine. It was indeed a good treatment for patients. "How is it, divine Dr. Tang?" Cui Yenru saw Tan Xiu retract his hand and hurriedly asked. "The effect is good. The harmful white blood cells in your body have been eliminated," Tan Xiu said with a smile. "But if you're still worried, you can go to a large hospital to have a checkup. If you've recovered, you don't need to come back and just leave directly. Of course, if you still want to stay in Shanghai, you can come back here and stay for a few days." After saying that, he then looked at Yang Pengchao and lightly smiled, "Don't forget your promise to me. After you've settled the mother and daughter, remember to go to Star City to find the magnificent Tang Corporation's general manager, Kang Xia. She'll arrange a job for you." "Tang. Boss, can I take them to Star City?" asked Yang Pengchao. "If I'm going to work in Star City later, I hope they can also work there so that I can take care of them." "That's great," Tan Xiu said with a smile. "You're a special employee of mine, so I should have assigned you a house in Star City. But you're a rich man now, so I won't give you a house. Go buy it yourself." Yang Pengchao grinned and said, "Boss, you've given me so much money that it's enough to buy 100 houses. Then, how about I take Auntie to the hospital to have a checkup first?" "Go." Tan Xiu let out a faint smile. As Yang Pengchao's group of 3 left, Ouyang Lulu stood at the window and asked, "Dear, what are you going to do next? It's summer vacation now and your school has already closed. Can you take a vacation? Even if the school is not closed, I haven't had a good class either." Tan Xiu forced a smile. "As for the vacation, it has nothing to do with me. Next, I need to go to Tea Country. There's something I need to deal with there." Ouyang Lulu's expression moved and asked, "Is it about the zodiac jade carvings? I heard there's news about the jade pig." Tan Xiu didn't tell her about Zhang Xinya. In any case, he was going to Tea Country this time, so he could also solve the jade pig issue. Therefore, he said, "That's right. I've got half of the zodiac jade carvings, so I need to find all of them as soon as possible. Do you want me to go with you?" asked Ouyang Lulu. "You can go with me if the Paradise Manor hasn't been expanded," said Tan Xiu with a smile. "But you have something to do now, so forget it. Don't worry, I'll be back soon." "How about stopping the project first?" asked Ouyang Lulu. "I want to go out with you. You haven't taken me out to play since we got together." Chapter 909. Tan Xiu gave it a thought and felt that Ouyang Lulu was right. He really hadn't taken her out to play since they had sex. So he said with a smile, let's wait for a while. I'll spare some time to accompany you after I'm done with my work. How about it? All right. Ouyang Lulu looked pleasantly surprised. Tan Xiu released his spiritual sense and found that Spectre was in the courtyard downstairs. He immediately said, I'm going to leave as soon as possible, Lulu. Help me and Spectre book the tickets. Are you going to book the tickets directly to Tea Country? Asked Ouyang Lulu. Which city are you going to? We're going to Jingmen Island first to solve some things there, said Tan Xiu. Then we'll talk about going to Tea Country. Why are you going to Jingmen Island? Asked Ouyang Lulu, confused. I encountered something in Chang City a few days ago. Some of my friends are in danger, so I sent some people to send them to Jingmen Island. This time, I'm going there to see them. Ouyang Lulu suddenly understood and said with a worried expression, I know you're a man who does great things, Tan Xiu. The environment you're in is very dangerous. I also know that you're very powerful, but you must pay attention to your safety at all times. Tan Xiu gently hugged her and smilingly said, don't worry. I'll pay attention to my safety. In the evening, Tan Xiu and Spectre arrived at Jingmen Island. He didn't inform the Everlasting Feast Hall's people in advance, but hailed a taxi and quickly arrived at the Everlasting Feast Hall's headquarters. Boss, if I had a choice, I'd rather never set foot here for the rest of my life, sighed Spectre as he looked at the scenery outside through the window. A faint smile outlined on the corner of Tan Xiu's mouth. I never thought that there's still a place in this world that can make you, Spectre, feel fear. It's good to be in awe. Don't tease me, boss. Spectre said with a sullen face, how about I get off and you go in by yourself? Just call me when you're about to leave. Tan Xiu laughed involuntarily and said, I'm curious. What did you encounter here? Why are you so afraid? Spectre raised his hand to touch the bridge of his nose and said with a hollow smile, I'm just afraid that you, your disciple. I don't want to be locked up in a formation again and temper myself for 13 years. Now, I don't even know if I'm 32 or 45. What did you say? Tan Xiu blinked, and a bright light burst out from his eyes. Ghost said, I said I'm afraid of your powerful disciple. What happened? Tan Xiu shook his head and said, it's not that. It's 13 years. What's going on? Could it be the time formation? That's right. Spectre nodded and said, it's the time grand array. The time acceleration inside is 1/365 compared to the outside. That is to say, 1 day outside is equivalent to 1 year inside. Think about it, a person can live alone for a day, 10 days, or even 100 days. But it's been 13 years, 4,745 days. It's already a miracle that I haven't gone crazy from the torture. Tan Xiu suddenly recalled that Gu Yan once learned a secret technique about the mysteries of time from Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's disciple. Others might not be able to arrange such a time acceleration array, but Gu Yan could. What did he need the most now? It was time. Soon. The taxi was parked in the parking lot of the manor, and Gu Yan, who had received the news in advance, was already waiting in the parking lot. The moment Tan Xiu got off the car, he asked in a deep voice, where's Yan, She's in the alchemy room. Master said that she's going to refine a pill for Miss Shui to take. Tan Xiu furrowed his brows and rushed to the alchemy room as fast as he could. He could feel the scorching heat sweeping over, while Gu Yan, was standing next to the alchemy furnace, constantly throwing medicinal herbs into it. Ji Qimei stood at the side, quietly reading a book about medicinal herbs. Lord, upon seeing Tan Xiu's arrival, Ji Qimei hurriedly got up and respectfully called out. Tan Xiu raised his hand to stop Ji Qimei's words. He could see that Gu Yan's alchemy had reached a critical juncture, so he didn't want to disturb her. Half an hour later, when the lid of the alchemy furnace flew up, a rich medicinal fragrance filled the air. Gu Yan reached out and grasped the void. Suddenly, a sparkling and translucent pill exuding a soft golden light appeared in her hand. She then cast a seal to seal the pill and put it into a jade bottle she had prepared in advance. "Why are you here, Master?" Gu Yan looked a bit surprised as she greeted and asked. "I'm here to see the situation." "There's something important I need to ask you," said Tan Xiu. "Please ask, Master," said Gu Yan. "I heard from Spectre that you locked him in the chrono array. Only then did I remember that you once learned a secret art related to the mystery of time from Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's disciple," said Tan Xiu. "So, you can arrange a chrono array? And you can also let people cultivate inside it?" "Yeah." Gu Yan nodded. "What about it?" Tan Xiu happily said, "If that's the case, then go to Clam Island yourself. If the children we're training can cultivate inside the chrono array, it'll be of great help to their growth. I'm sure they can grow up quickly." "Ah, it turns out to be this matter," Gu Yan said with a smile. "No problem, I'll go right away." But what?" asked Tan Xiu. "The chrono array I arranged can only play a role in tempering the mind," said Gu Yan. "There's no way for the cultivators to improve their cultivation inside. Unless they can get the chrono crystal and the true self-heart. These two supreme treasures can help me form a special time and space when I arrange the array. Only in this special space can cultivators truly cultivate and live." "You've already used the chrono crystal, so we don't have it now." Tan Xiu furrowed his brows. "The true self-heart is the Tao heart comprehended by the golden immortal stage powerhouses of the heart-seeking sect in the immortal world after crossing the 49 heavenly tribulations and distinguishing the truth from the false. Furthermore, they need to die to obtain the true self-heart. I can find a way to get it in the immortal world, even if it's very difficult. But this is Earth, and there's no way to get the true self-heart. That's why I can only arrange the chrono illusion array," said Gu Yan. "The only use of it is to temper their mind. It can make their state of mind advance by leaps and bounds, even surpassing the limit of their age." Tan Xiu thought for a moment and said, "It's good enough that it can temper and improve their state of mind. However, you don't have to rush to Clam Island immediately. You should recuperate first and make sure that you're fine. Then you can go back quickly." "All right, I'll listen to you." A bright smile appeared on Gu Yan's face. She could hear the care and concern in Tan Xiu's words, which warmed her heart and filled her with happiness. "That's right. I've sent someone to bring those people from Chang City here." "Where are they now?" asked Tan Xiu. "Those people from Chang City?" asked Gu Yan, puzzled. "I don't know." Gu Xiaoxue hurriedly said, "It was me who arranged them, Grand Master. I didn't tell Master about this trivial matter. They're in the everlasting feast hall now. I'll call them immediately if you want to see them." "No need to call them." Tan Xiu waved his hand and said, "Just take me there directly. I'll go to country tea after I see them." Shortly after, Tan Xiu left with Gu Xiaoxue, while Gu Yan took the refined medicinal pill and went to find Shuiyu. Tan Xiu didn't ask about the medicinal pill, nor did Gu Yan take the initiative to mention it. In the guest room of the restaurant, Tan Xiu saw Song Donglai and Ao Wei. Upon seeing their respectful expressions, Tan Xiu waved his hand and motioned them to sit down. Then, he said, "I've destroyed the Lien family and killed all of them with martial strength, leaving only the old, the weak, the young, and the disabled. You don't need to hide here anymore. Let's have a chat and then you can leave." Song Donglai and Ao Wei exchanged glances. Just as they sat on the sofa, they immediately got up and cupped their fists toward Tan Xiu, saying, "Senior Tang, we want to cultivate with you." "That's right. Please accept us, Mr. Tang." Tan Xiu looked at them in surprise. After a long time, he shook his head and said, "You're different from Han Senator. He would have been a dead man if I hadn't saved him. But you have family and friends, as well as emotional entanglements that can't be cut off from the secular world. Therefore, you two are not suitable to cultivate with me. Song Donglai and Ao Wei looked disappointed, but Song Donglai didn't give up and seriously said, Senior Tang, please accept us as your in-name disciples. We may look older than you, but the one who succeeds in cultivation is the master. I hope you don't despise us. We're sincere. The path I'm taking is completely different from yours. Tan Xiu shook his head. If I accept you as my in-name disciples, it'll be tantamount to creating a karmic relationship with me. I don't want my cultivation to be affected because of you, so you don't need to mention this matter again. Having said that, he hesitated for a moment before an idea came to his mind and he immediately said, however, I can give you some opportunities since I'm your guide on the path of cultivation. If you want to go further on the path of cultivation, I can provide you with some cultivation resources. However, I won't give you these cultivation resources for free. You'll need to spend money to buy them. What cultivation resources? Asked Song Donglai hurriedly. For example, medicinal pills, answered Tan Xiu. Song Donglai's eyes widened and he asked in shock, you can refine medicinal pills? That's right. Tan Xiu nodded and said, I can refine medicinal pills, but it's very difficult to do so, and I can only refine a few each time. Therefore, the price will be very high. You'll have to spend money to buy them if you need them, and you'll have to prepare a large sum of money. We're willing to buy them, but how much will the price be? Song Donglai hurriedly said. What kind of medicinal pills are they? You can ask Xiao Xue about this. Tan Xiu said with a smile. She's the current manager of the Everlasting Feast Hall and also my grand disciple. You can contact her directly when you want to buy medicinal pills. Chapter 9-10. The heat wave swept away the fishy smell of the sea, drifting along with the sound of the raging waves hitting the shore. A black Mercedes-Benz SUV was like a runaway wild horse, roaring and sprinting on the coastal road with the roar of the engine. However, as the four black Land Rover SUVs gradually caught up from behind, Tan Xiu in the black Mercedes-Benz SUV looked confused. Do you want me to deal with those cars, boss? Ghost sat in the front passenger seat with his legs crossed. Ever since he came out of the time matrix, he seemed to have changed into a different person. He was very jumpy and very belligerent. It was as if he had become a particularly impulsive hooligan. Tan Xiu glanced at him and indifferently said, if you think you have plenty of time, find a woman to fall in love with. I think you have too much anger inside and need to vent it out. Ugh, Spectre's frivolous expression instantly froze. He looked at Tan Xiu with a hollow smile and directly turned his head to look out the window. Inwardly, he snorted and muttered, who said I didn't find one? 3 days ago, I talked about life and ideals with 6 beauties, and then rolled the sheets. In the driver's seat, Gu Tao gripped the steering wheel with eyes gleaming. As the car sped up, a few minutes later, he turned his head and reported, Boss, there are 4 cars in front of us. They are the same type of cars that are chasing us. Stop the car, said Tan Xiu. Gu Tao nodded and slowed down the car to stop the car on the roadside. Zhang Ju, who was sitting next to Tan Xiu, quickly got off the car and went to the other side. After opening the door for Tan Xiu, he said in a low voice, Boss, there are 8 cars and 16 people. Judging from their appearance, they should be martial arts practitioners. Tan Xiu got off the car. After lighting a cigarette, he looked at the 16 people coming from the front and the back. His eyes finally fell on the leader of the 8 people in front. Mr. Tang. The person who came was a gentleman, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, holding a briefcase in his hand, and wearing a designer suit that fit him very well. The way he looked at Tan Xiu was also very respectful. Tan Xiu sized him up a few times before looking at the turbulent sea and indifferently said, Are you looking for trouble by blocking me on the coastal road with such fanfare? Or did he come to ask for help? Let me say this first, if you want to cause trouble, then come at me. If you want help, then get the hell out of here. I don't have time. The refined middle-aged man chuckled and said, "We're not looking for trouble or help, Mr. Tang. It's my wife who wants to see you. I'm busy." Tan Xiu was in a hurry to go to country tea. How could he have the leisure to see Madam? The middle-aged man's expression turned stiff and he immediately let out a dry smile. "Mr. Tang, I'm Sun Bo, the general manager's assistant of the Ouyang Group. My madam is just a few kilometers away by the seaside. We naturally won't dare to stop you if you don't want to see her. I'll immediately go back and report to her." Ouyang Group. "Madam?" With a strange expression, Tan Xiu asked, "Who is she to Ouyang Lulu?" The middle-aged man smiled and said, "She is the eldest Mrs. Mother." Fuck. Tan Xiu cursed inwardly. If it were someone else, he would absolutely be disinclined to pay attention to them. But this madam was Ouyang Lulu's mother, his cheap mother-in-law. Even if he was more powerful, he couldn't not give her face. After stuffing out the cigarette butt, Tan Xiu forced a smile and said, "You should have told me who she is earlier. Would I have dared to say I don't want to see her? But tell me in advance, why is she looking for me? I'm just an errand boy, Mr. Tang. How would I know this kind of thing? You're the future son-in-law of our Ouyang family. If I knew, I would have told you in advance." Cough, cough. Tan Xiu coughed a few times and waved his hand. "Get in the car and lead the way." A few minutes later, the convoy stopped on the coastal road a few kilometers away. After Tan Xiu got off the car, he saw a woman in a plain white dress standing on the beach not far away. It was impossible to tell her age from her back. But she stood there with her arms folded, as if she was integrated with the world in front of her, looking very harmonious. She's an expert. Tan Xiu secretly praised her inside. He came behind her alone and said, "You, want to see me?" Mu Qinxin gently turned around and appeared in front of Tan Xiu. A graceful and elegant face with a smiling expression appeared on the corner of her mouth. Her appearance was somewhat similar to Ouyang Lulu, but a lot more mature. As the bell on her wrist rang, a somewhat magnetic voice said, "Nice to meet you, Tan Xiu. It's my first time meeting you, Auntie." "You're really younger than I imagined," said Tan Xiu with a smile. Mu Qinxin smiled and suddenly raised her arm to point at the sea, asking, "What do you think about it?" Tan Xiu stared blankly. He really couldn't figure out what kind of medicine Mu Qinxin was selling in her gourd. She inexplicably looked for him and even talked about an irrelevant topic. However, he still said, "The sea contains hundreds of rivers and is vast and boundless. It's full of auspiciousness and crisis. It contains infinite treasures and also has endless killing traps." "What else?" asked Mu Qinxin with a faint smile. "What else?" Tan Xiu really couldn't figure out what she was thinking about. He thought for a moment and asked, "Which aspect do you mean, Auntie?" Mu Qinxin smiled and said, "What is it in your eyes? Is it big or not?" Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "Water is the foundation of man, and the sea is the container of water. Be it this sea in front of you or all the oceans on earth, they are all pitifully small in my eyes." "Pitifully small?" asked Mu Qinxin. "Can you conquer it?" Mu Qinxin asked. "Time. I need time," said Tan Xiu proudly. "Give me some time. Let alone this sea in front of me, even the entire earth is just a drop in the ocean in my eyes." Mu Qinxin nodded and said, "If I want the entire earth to be just a drop in the ocean in my eyes, what do you think I can do?" "Ugh." Tan Xiu instantly understood and looked at the smiling Mu Qinxin in front of him. He forced a smile and took out an ancient cultivation manual from his interspatial ring as well as 2 jade bottles, saying, "Auntie, you can break the shackles of the heavenly Tao and ascend to the immortal world if you can cultivate the cultivation technique in this ancient manual. These 2 bottles contain 20 essence amassing pills, which I've spent a lot of effort to concoct. Please don't think it's too little." Mu Qinxin's eyes lit up and she looked at Tan Xiu with praise. She then softly said, "Lulu, you really have a good eye. I, Mu Qinshin, have a good daughter. I never thought that I'd need to rely on her light one day. Tan Xiu, children and grandchildren have their own blessings. I need your promise. Tan Xiu was silent for a moment and then said, I'll take care of her for 10,000 years if she doesn't betray me. You've passed my test, said Mu Qinshin with satisfaction. But I still need to ask something from you. If you can give it to me, you'll be the son-in-law of the Ouyang's from now on. What is it? Asked Tan Xiu. Any one of the zodiac jade carvings, said Mu Qinshin. Tan Xiu's expression changed and he replied without hesitation, there are a total of 12 zodiac jade carvings. It won't be of much use to me even if I have 1 or even 11 of them. Only by collecting a complete set of the zodiac jade carvings will it be of great use to me in the future. Auntie Mu, the zodiac jade carvings are too important to me. They're thousands of times more important than the cultivation technique and pills I gave you. I'm sorry. Mu Qinshin shot a deep look at Tan Xiu and slowly opened the bag on her shoulder. She then took out a red and lifelike jade dog and handed it to Tan Xiu with a smile. I'm afraid our Ouyang's can't be compared with you in terms of wealth. I'm sure you won't be interested in Lulu's dowry. So, I'll use this jade dog to replace Lulu's dowry. What do you think? Jade dog? A look of ecstasy flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes. After receiving it, he inspected it and confirmed that it was one of the 12 zodiac jade carvings. He looked up at Mu Qinshin's faint smile and seriously said, Thank you, Auntie. That's enough. I've given Lulu's dowry to you, but I need to ask for something that I haven't found yet, said Mu Qinshin with a smile. Lulu's father likes antiques and cultural relics. If you have something suitable, can you show your sincerity? Tan Xiu gave it a thought and gently spread out his hand. The huge golden dragon's head instantly appeared in his hand. Even though the golden dragon's head was very heavy, it didn't put any pressure on him at all. He then asked, What do you think of this golden dragon's head, Auntie? This, Mu Qinshin was scared. She had heard about the origin of this golden dragon's head and knew that it was a national treasure. This golden dragon's head had caused a lot of bloodshed in the past. Suddenly, she didn't dare to accept it. Tan Xiu looked at Mu Qinshin's expression and thought that she wasn't satisfied with it, so he immediately said, If uncle isn't satisfied with it, I'll... Mu Qinshin hurriedly raised her hand to interrupt Tan Xiu and forced a smile. That's enough. I just hesitated because I felt that this thing is too precious and too hot. Tan Xiu smiled and said, This golden dragon's head is indeed very precious, but it's worthless compared to Lulu's. Since I'm going to give this golden dragon's head to uncle, I believe no one will dare to cause trouble for the Ouyang's because of it. Besides, you've already obtained a cultivation manual, so the Ouyang's strength will only skyrocket in the future and won't be defeated. Mu Qinshin thought about it and felt that what Tan Xiu said was very reasonable. This golden dragon's head was indeed precious, but it was far from being comparable to the cultivation manual. She even dared to accept a cultivation manual, let alone this golden dragon's head? Put it down, Tan Xiu. After putting down the golden dragon's head, Tan Xiu was about to speak, but Mu Qinshin took out something and handed it to Tan Xiu, saying, This is a map fragment. Legend has it that it's a treasure map to a hidden treasure trove, but I'm not sure whether it's true or not. I'll be in seclusion for some time after returning to the clan today, and I don't want to look for treasures anymore. Hence, I'll give it to you. You can look for it later if you're interested. Treasure map. Incomplete map. Tan Xiu looked at the many patterns on the sheepskin scroll and his expression suddenly moved. He faintly felt that the terrain marked on this sheepskin scroll was somewhat familiar. Chapter 9-11. The scorching hot summer sun didn't bring the slightest discomfort to Tan Xiu. On the contrary, he felt comfortable all over his body along with the sea breeze. He felt particularly satisfied even if he had to give away an ancient cultivation manual, 2 bottles of elixirs, and a golden dragon head. The jade dog. He had obtained the jade ox, tiger, dragon, rabbit, monkey, rooster, and dog. Adding the jade dog in his hand, he now had a total of 7 zodiac jade carvings. Additionally, he also knew the whereabouts of the jade pig, which was in the hands of Singluan's eldest brother, Singhuo of the Dark Shaman clan. Furthermore, Miao Wentong seemed to have news about another zodiac jade carving. "It's almost time, boss." Zhang Ju strode forward and respectfully reported. Tan Xiu nodded slightly. After putting the jade dog into his interspatial ring, he looked at the direction where Mu Qingxin left and said with a faint smile, "The Ouyang's are a bit interesting, but my cheap mother-in-law is even more interesting. She's not a cultivator, yet she can achieve the unity of heaven and man and become an expert at the peak of the qi refining stage. She can be regarded as a top powerhouse in the ancient martial arts world. No wonder the Ouyang's can become the biggest family in Jingmen Island." "I know a lot about the Ouyang's," said Zhang Ju. "The patriarch's wife is the most special one among all the members of the Ouyang's. She's very mysterious and has always been elusive. The Ouyang's have encountered several crises in the past, and she was the one who finally solved them." Tan Xiu looked at Zhang Ju and asked with a smile, "What's her origin?" "I don't know." "I can't find out," answered Zhang Ju. Tan Xiu raised his brows and said, "You can't find out? That's interesting. I'll draw a painting for you when we arrive in Tea Country. You can send it to Xiaoxue through your mobile phone and let her check the pattern on it." "What painting?" asked Zhang Ju. "Haven't you noticed the ancient jade pendant on my cheap mother-in-law's waist?" Tan Xiu said. "People who wear this kind of jade pendant usually use it to show their identity." Suddenly, Tan Xiu recalled an incident and immediately took out his mobile phone to dial Shuayu's cell number. After the call was connected, he asked, "How much do you know about the origin of Mu Qingxin, the wife of the Ouyang clan in Jingmen Island?" "A lot," Shuayu said softly. Tan Xiu said, "Tell me, what's her background?" "Mu Qingxin is a member of a reclusive family," said Shuayu. "The members of her family hardly move around in the secular world. Even with the rapid development of society, they don't know how to use many modern daily necessities. Just like the ancient people, they lived in isolation from the rest of the world. What they pursued was a carefree and unfettered feeling. However, Mu Qingxin was different from her family. I once followed my ancestor to visit the Mu family, a hidden aristocratic family. That's how I know about these things." Tan Xiu asked, "Where is this hidden family?" "In the mountains of Yun province," answered Shuayu. "This family is not simple." Tan Xiu nodded and said, "Just one of their clansmen is able to reach the late stage of qi refining. Presumably, the elders of this family have even more profound strength. The most important thing is that they are not cultivators, nor are they martial artists. Instead, they seem to have taken another path. What they cultivate is their heart," said Shuayu. "Ah, so you know about it," Tan Xiu said with a smile. "All right, I'm calling you about this. I'm going to Tea Country soon. I'll look for you when I come back." "All right. Be careful." Shuayu knew that some dangerous things would happen every time Tan Xiu went out, so she couldn't help but warn him. "Don't worry," Tan Xiu said with a smile. "No one in this world who can kill me has been born yet, so there won't be any danger. But for you, the sudden increase in your cultivation is not all good for you. You must stabilize your realm and master that power as soon as possible." "All right." At 12 p.m. Tan Xiu took Spectre, Zhang Ju, and Gu Tao to Tea Country's capital, Bangkok. Bangkok was the largest city in Tea Country, also known as the City of Angels. It was also the second largest city in Southeast Asia and was the center of Tea Country's politics, economy, trade, transportation, culture, science, education, religion, and other aspects. However, Bangkok was also the center of precious metals and gems trading, accounting for 44% of Tea Country's total economic output. Further, the tourism industry here was also very developed, and it was voted as the most popular tourist city in the world some years ago. Hence, there were a lot of foreign tourists here. Boss, according to the information we just received, Miss Zhang is staying in the Amanda 5-star hotel near the Chao Phraya River. But she's not in the hotel right now. She's filming at night on the Mekong River. Also, according to the information, Miss Zhang ran into some trouble yesterday. Her passport, wallet, and other belongings were stolen, and someone called to blackmail her. Zhang Ju followed Tan Xiu out of the airport and reported in a low voice. Tan Xiu squinted his eyes and lightly said, "Let's go straight to the place where she's filming. The Chao Phraya River seems to be quite famous. I heard about it when I was in China." Boss, the Chao Phraya River is also known as the Chao Phraya River. It's the longest river with the largest volume of water in Tea Country, said Zhang Ju. It's also known as the mother of rivers in Tea Country and is also known as the Venice of the East. The water transportation there is very convenient, so we can get a car first and then directly go to the nearby area. After that, we can take the Chao Phraya Express to the place where Miss Zhang is filming. You've been to this place before, so you can arrange the itinerary here. Tan Xiu nodded. Understood, replied Zhang Ju respectfully. It was Spectre who volunteered to get the car. Soon, he drove a shabby jeep and appeared in front of Tan Xiu's group. As he jumped out of the driver's seat, he grinned and said, "This car is very good, boss. The performance is very good, and it's very fun to race." Tan Xiu didn't ask how Spectre got the car. After sitting in the back seat, he lightly said, "I'm not interested in being a driver, nor do I like racing. If you like it, then you can drive it." Spectre looked at Tan Xiu's indifferent expression and immediately let out a hollow laugh. He gave up the idea of being a driver and obediently walked to the co-pilot's seat, saying, "There are many fun places on the Chao Phraya River, boss, and the profusion of fallen petals is a good place worth visiting." "But what kind of place is the profusion of fallen petals?" asked Tan Xiu. Zhang Ju, who was sitting next to Tan Xiu, explained in a low voice, "The profusion of fallen petals is a large luxury liner. Only the guests who have a pass for this liner can go there to play. This luxury liner is the territory of Bangkok's underworld emperor, Kanaja, and it's also his main tool to amass wealth. There are only things you can't think of on the profusion of fallen petals, and there's almost nothing it doesn't have. As long as you have money, you can have women if you want, power if you want. If you want to kill someone, someone will hand you a knife and bring you a living person." "Does this Kanaja have a lot of power?" asked Tan Xiu with a frown. "He eats both the underworld, and his power is monstrous," answered Zhang Ju. "Who's more powerful, him or the Dark Shaman clan?" asked Tan Xiu. Zhang Ju hesitated for a moment and forced a smile. "I don't know about that. However, the Dark Shaman clan rarely has contact with the outside world, and their tribesmen rarely mix in society or play politics. It's hard to compare them." "Let's go." Tan Xiu nodded. "Let's go straight to Zhang Xinya's shooting location. My main purpose in coming to Tea Country this time is to get the Jade Pig in the hands of the Dark Shaman clan's young master, Singluan. I don't want to complicate matters." At night, the scenery of the Chao Phraya River was completely different from the daytime scenery. Sightseeing cruises were shuttling on the river, with colorful lights decorating the place like a dream. Even though it was already late at night, the place was still bustling as if it was a place that never sleeps. Tan Xiu's group of 4 was riding a Chao Phraya clipper. The simple and crude boat faced the hot wind and quickly approached a small port. As they anchored and docked at the shore, the 4 of them got off the boat and crossed a riverside street to an exotic building complex. Ring, 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 Zhang Ju's cell phone rang. After a short exchange, he hung up the phone and came to Tan Xiu's front and said, "Boss, Miss Zhang seems to have encountered a bit of trouble, but it's just a small one. Her bodyguard has solved it. However, I just got the news that the other party's background is a bit problematic. If it's not dealt with in time, perhaps Miss Zhang's shooting will not go smoothly." "What is it?" asked Tan Xiu. Someone wanted to invite Miss Zhang to have a late-night snack, but she refused, said Zhang Ju. The other party provoked her and got beaten by her bodyguard. Ring, ring, ring. At this moment, Tan Xiu's cell phone suddenly rang. He took it out and looked at the screen before answering the call. Cousin, are you looking for me about Zhang Xinya? That's right. I heard that you went to Tea Country. She happened to have encountered some trouble there. Can you go there if it's convenient? Said Chu Yi. One of the purposes of my coming here is to see her, said Tan Xiu. Also, I want to tell you something. Don't arrange any work for her in the near future. If you have already arranged it, just cancel it. She has a mental problem, and it will be very troublesome if she continues like this. I heard that she has become a workaholic recently, said Chu Yi with a forced smile. Since you're friends with her, I'll leave this matter to you. I'll suspend all her work. All right. Tan Xiu replied. After hanging up the phone, he looked at Zhang Ju and said, have you asked about the specific location? Lead the way. Zhang Ju replied and led Tan Xiu on foot for a few minutes. They then saw Zhang Xinya's figure in the distance on the bank of the Chao Phraya River. At this moment, she was sitting quietly on a chair, reading the documents in her hands. Four bodyguards, 2 men and 2 women, were vigilantly watching the surroundings. Chapter 9:12. Zhang Xinya was in a terrible mood, be it day or night, in front of others or behind others. The emotional pain made her feel that she couldn't even breathe. Perhaps, only when she devoted all her energy to work would she be able to temporarily forget this pain. Bangkok was very beautiful, but the night view of the Chao Phraya River was even more beautiful. The colorful lights, the liners, and the colorful buildings on both sides of the river were as beautiful as a mirage. However, Zhang Xinya's gloomy mood didn't allow her to appreciate it at all. Big sis Xinya, please listen to me. Let's not shoot the music video here. Let's go somewhere else. I have a feeling that hooligan will come back to trouble us. With a worried expression, Zhang Xiaoyu gently squatted in front of Zhang Xinya and put her hands on her arms. Zhang Xinya raised her head and lightly said, the company has arranged a very powerful bodyguard, so we don't need to be afraid of him even if he causes trouble for no reason. Also, haven't we already called the police? This is Bangkok, and the police won't just sit and watch. Can't we be a bit more mature, young miss? Zhang Xiaoyu forced a wry smile. Even if this is Bangkok, it's still their turf. As the saying goes, it's easy to see the king of hell, but it's hard to deal with the little devils. Besides, a strong dragon can't suppress a local snake. We'll be caught off guard if the other party uses some underhanded tricks. Zhang Xinya was silent for a moment before she stubbornly shook her head and said, the shooting of the music video hasn't been completed yet. We've worked hard to come here, so we can't give up halfway. Xiaoyu, you don't need to persuade me anymore. You're really stubborn like a bull, said Zhang Xiaoyu helplessly. Forget it. Stay here if you say so. But you must listen to me and leave with me immediately if you encounter any danger. All right. Zhang Xinya replied with a flat tone. The face that gave her a sense of security once again appeared in her mind. There was a bit of irritation in her eyes. She couldn't read the documents in her hand anymore, so she shifted her gaze to the distance. My eyesight isn't deceiving me, is it? Zhang Xinya's expression froze and she suddenly jumped up from the chair. Her eyes were fixated on the handsome figure coming from the distance, and her heartbeat accelerated. What's wrong with you, big sis Xinya? Zhang Xiaoyu asked in surprise. She got up and turned to look behind her. Zhang Xinya suddenly closed her eyes. Her excitement was like a dancing flame that was extinguished by a basin of cold water. After shaking her head, she sat back on the chair and murmured, if you think too much, you will always have hallucinations. Upon seeing Tan Xiu coming, Zhang Xiaoyu immediately looked pleasantly surprised. She hurriedly turned around and grabbed Zhang Xinya's arm, excitedly saying, you're not hallucinating, sis Xinya. It's really Mr. Tang. Mr. Tang is here. Zhang Xinya opened her eyes again and looked in the direction where Tan Xiu had come from. When she saw the face that had haunted her dreams, she was finally sure that she was not hallucinating. He really came. With his hands in his trouser pockets, Tan Xiu came to Zhang Xinya with a smile and said, "Are you surprised? You didn't expect me to appear here." Tears. The tears welled up from her eyes and slid down her white cheeks. The pleasant surprise made her unable to control herself. She dashed a few steps forward and threw herself into Tan Xiu's embrace. Her arms hugged Tan Xiu tightly. Tan Xiu thought that she had an accident here, so he was scared and didn't push her away. Instead, he gently patted her back and smilingly said, "Don't worry. I've heard what happened here. They're just some hooligans. No one can hurt you with me here. I miss you." Zhang Xinya sobbed with tears streaming down her face. Tan Xiu's body turned stiff. He could feel Zhang Xinya's slightly trembling body in his arms and could feel her emotions coming from the bottom of her heart. It would be a lie to say that he didn't have the slightest affection for Zhang Xinya. If it were in the past, he might have directly accepted Zhang Xinya. After all, it was very difficult for him to see a woman who loved him so deeply crying in his arms. But there was Zhang Xinyue. Tan Xiu wasn't a man who fell in love with every woman he met. Although he had a good impression of Zhang Xinya, there was still Zhang Xinyue's existence. He and Zhang Xinyue had sex. If he were to promise Zhang Xinya now and promise to be with her, what would happen to Zhang Xinyue? Was it possible for him to have both of them at the same time? Hugging and crying. As time passed by, Zhang Xinya finally controlled her emotions. When she raised her tearful face and looked at Tan Xiu's handsome face, she asked with a trembling voice, Why did you come here?" "I came to Tea Country for a very important matter," said Tan Xiu. "But I got a call from Chu Yi and learned that you're also in Tea Country. Furthermore, you also encountered some trouble here, so I came here directly." You've lost a lot of weight." Zhang Xinya's emotions nearly went out of control again. She looked at Tan Xiu with tearful eyes and said word by word, "I miss you. I miss you when I eat, I miss you when I do things, and I miss you even when I sleep. If I can't see you, I can't sleep well, I can't eat well, and I'm not in good spirits." Tan Xiu opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. Zhang Xinya raised her hand and gently pressed it on Tan Xiu's lips. She took a deep breath and said, "Don't say anything. Don't say anything. I'm already very happy to see you. I beg you, please let me be happy for a while. I'm very touched that you're worried about my safety. Just let me be touched for a while." Tan Xiu fell into silence. He could feel the panic and pleading in Zhang Xinya's eyes, and he suddenly felt sorry for this woman. He indeed had several women now. Whether it was Kang Xia, Ouyang Lulu, Shuiyu, or Mu Weining, all of them had shown deep feelings for him. But Zhang Xinya's feelings for him were no less than theirs. Instead, it was even more than theirs. Tan Xiu himself had experienced an unforgettable feeling. That was Xue Qingqing in the immortal world. He even once thought that his heart was with Xue Qingqing even though he was in the immortal world. She was the most important world to him. At this moment, Tan Xiu made a decision inwardly. He gently hugged Zhang Xinya and tenderly caressed her long and elegant hair, saying, "Come with me. I need to tell you something." Having said that, he then looked at Zhang Xiaoyu and said, "Notify me to suspend the shooting work. I'll give you 10 minutes to pack up and then we'll leave this place." Zhang Xiaoyu was very excited. She was keenly aware that Tan Xiu actually felt sorry for her big sister Xinya. When a man felt sorry for a woman, it definitely meant that this woman was in his heart. "Let's pack up and go back," Zhang Xiaoyu hurriedly called out. At this time, Spectre quietly came to Tan Xiu's side and whispered, "Some people are monitoring this place, boss. There are 2 groups of people in total, one in the 10 o'clock direction and the other in the 4 o'clock direction. The 10 o'clock direction should be the hooligans and hooligans without any surveillance technology. But the 4 o'clock direction has some skills. They're very good at concealing themselves and are using military products. Tan Xiu slightly furrowed his brows. He instantly released his spiritual sense to cover a radius of 300 to 400 meters. He then found two groups of people, especially the 4 o'clock direction. Two middle-aged men in ordinary attire and appearance were hiding behind an erected billboard, using the cracks of the billboard to observe this direction. I'll leave the 10 o'clock people to you for interrogation. As for the two guys at 4 o'clock, I'll see them later, said Tan Xiu. He then pulled Zhang Xinya's hand and walked away. At the 5-star Amanda Hotel, Tan Xiu followed Zhang Xinya to the business suite where she lived. He watched her go to make tea with a flowery smile. She even took out a pack of yellow Crane Tower cigarettes from her bag and handed it to him. Tan Xiu forced a smile and said, "You don't smoke, do you? Why do you have cigarettes in your bag?" Zhang Xinya blushed and said in a low voice, "I know you smoke. I was just thinking about when I could see you and light a cigarette for you." This, Tan Xiu opened his mouth and took the cigarette. He let Zhang Xinya carefully light it for him and took a deep puff. Then, he turned to the window and looked at the lights outside. With his back facing Zhang Xinya, he asked, "Do you really like me?" Zhang Xinya's delicate body trembled, but she instantly raised her chin and walked to Tan Xiu's side. Then, she said without hesitation, "I don't like you. It's love. I really love you." Tan Xiu turned around and looked at her firm expression. He forced a smile and shook his head. "Actually, I'm not worthy of your love at all. I'm just a promiscuous man in the eyes of many people. I've had a lot of women, and it's hard to count them with one hand. I've been rejecting you because I can't give you a happy marriage, and I can't love you with all my heart." "I know, but I don't care," said Zhang Xinya. "There's something I don't know how to tell you." Tan Xiu forced a smile. "It's a misunderstanding, but it's also a substantial problem." "What is it?" asked Zhang Xinya, confused. "It's about your younger sister, Zhang Xinyue," said Tan Xiu. "There's something between a man and a woman." "What?" Zhang Xinya's pupils contracted and her complexion instantly turned pale. She looked at Tan Xiu in disbelief. She stepped back a few steps and quickly covered her heart with her right hand. You, please don't misunderstand." Tan Xiu sighed and said, "We did have something between a man and a woman, but there's a reason for it. Do you still remember what happened in Qingqing Mountain? I sent some people to escort you back at that time, while Zhang Xinyue took your place to attend the opening ceremony of the villa complex. But something happened at that time." Tan Xiu recounted everything to Zhang Xinya and finally said, "I was poisoned, and it was a deadly poison. Unless a woman can detoxify me with her body, I'll definitely die." Chapter 9:13. With tears on her face, Zhang Xinya stared at Tan Xiu in a daze. She suddenly regretted letting her younger sister, Zhang Xinyue, replace her to attend the opening ceremony of the Golden Goblet Emperor Gao's villa complex. If she was the one who went there, that kind of thing wouldn't have happened between her younger sister and Tan Xiu. And then, she was eager to know what happened later, even though the final fact couldn't be changed. "I lost my mind at that time," said Tan Xiu. "I didn't know where I was or what happened to me at that time. When I woke up, only then did I know that Zhang Xinyue used her body to detoxify the poison in me and saved my life. I was grateful to her, but I didn't love her. Just when I was in a dilemma, thinking about how to shoulder this responsibility, she told me that it never happened and that she wanted me to keep it a secret forever. Once we leave Qingqing Mountain, we'll never see each other again." The burden in Zhang Xinya's heart was suddenly lifted. She had just thought of countless reasons in her mind, but none of them made her feel better than Tan Xiu's explanation. At this moment, she suddenly felt that what her younger sister did was right. After all, she saved Tan Xiu's life. If it were her, even if she had no feelings for Tan Xiu, it would be very difficult for her to watch him die. Furthermore, Tan Xiu also saved her younger sister's life. Looking at Zhang Xinya's constantly changing expression, Tan Xiu forced a smile and said, "I've been suppressing this matter inside my heart. I originally thought that I would never mention it to anyone again in this life, but I don't want to hide it from you now. However, I don't want to hide it from you anymore. Don't blame Zhang Xinyue. If you want to blame someone, blame me. After all, she saved my life." Zhang Xinya's lips squirmed as she shook her head and said, "I don't blame her. I'm very grateful to her. She saved the man I love. I already had that kind of relationship with Zhang Xinyue. Are you still willing to love me?" Tan Xiu forced a smile. "There's no way for us to." Zhang Xinya waved her hand to interrupt Tan Xiu and loudly said, "I don't care. Let alone my younger sister, I don't care even if it's any other woman. As long as you are well, even if all the women in the world follow you, I am willing to see it. You can say that my love is extreme, you can say that my love is stubborn, but these are my sincere words. As long as you are fine, as long as you can give me a little bit of space in your heart, even if it is just a little bit, I am willing to love you, I am willing to follow you. Why bother?" Tan Xiu sighed helplessly. Zhang Xinya said, "I didn't know how to love someone before, and I've never loved another man before. But I've decided on you, and that's you. If you don't want me, I'll die alone. If you want me, I'll love you for the rest of my life. I'll love you 10 times, 100 times, 10,000 times more than you love me." Tan Xiu walked to Zhang Xinya in a few steps. He looked at her tough expression and gently pulled her into his arms, saying softly, "I used to be a supreme in the immortal world, and I used to think that loving her was enough. However, when I returned here, I realized that my heart had changed. You can say that I'm a sentimental person, or that I changed my mind after being hurt. But since you don't dislike me, then I'll take you. Since you want to be my woman, you must be prepared to follow me for thousands of years." Zhang Xinya put her face on Tan Xiu's chest and passionately said, "Let alone thousands of years, even if the seas run dry and the rocks crumble, even if the world comes to an end, I'll never abandon you." Tan Xiu gently pushed her away, but his hands held her shoulders. He looked at her serious eyes and said in a deep voice, "From today onward, you, Zhang Xinya, are my, Tan Xiu's woman. After tonight, you won't have the chance to regret it even if you want to." "I don't regret it, and I don't need any chance," said Zhang Xinya firmly. "You fool." Tan Xiu hugged her in his arms again and looked at the night scene outside the window. His mood was very satisfied and affectionate. 10 minutes later. Knock, knock, someone knocked on the door from the outside. Tan Xiu released Zhang Xinya and waved to open the door. He saw Spectre carrying the 2 middle-aged men who had been monitoring Zhang Xinya and walking in from the outside. He then said to Gu Tao and Zhang Ju, "You two stay outside and pay attention to any suspicious people in the vicinity. Remember to inform me immediately if there are any." "Understood." The 2 men replied and turned to go out. Tan Xiu walked to the sofa and sat down, asking, "What's the result of your interrogation?" "Those gangsters are spineless. I didn't use any means to make them confess everything," said Spectre. "The one who sent them to monitor Miss Zhang is Alloway, the most famous gangster in the vicinity of the Chao Phraya River. He controls most of the entertainment venues within a radius of more than 10 kilometers and has hundreds of thugs under his command. Additionally, he's Songzhan's subordinate. Songzhan has some fame in Bangkok and is a big shot in both the underworld and the underworld." Tan Xiu furrowed his brows and looked at the 2 middle-aged men thrown in front of him by Spectre. He then lightly asked, "Those gangsters are Alloway's men, and Alloway should be the one who was dealt with by Xinya's bodyguards. What about you? Who sent you here?" The 2 middle-aged men with bruises and swollen faces exchanged glances. One of them then sneered and said, "You're a foreigner, aren't you? Your English is pretty good. Can you tell us where you're from? No, I can't, said Tan Xiu. Humph, snorted the middle-aged man coldly. You don't want to tell us who you are, so why do you want us to tell you who we are? A knife suddenly appeared in Tan Xiu's hand and fiercely pierced the middle-aged man's arms. He gritted his teeth and didn't make any sound. Tan Xiu then lightly smiled and said, You're quite stubborn, unlike those gangsters. You want to know who I am? Your lives are in my hands. If I'm in a bad mood, I can kill you at any time and throw your bodies into the Chao Phraya River. The middle-aged man glared at Tan Xiu with hatred and said, You win. Our boss is Songzan, the big shot who controls the fate of thousands of people in Bangkok. Your men injured Alloway, so we were sent here to monitor you and wait for our boss to send someone. So, your boss wants to stand up for his men? Asked Tan Xiu with a strange expression. Does he want to make things difficult for us? The middle-aged man sneered, If Miss Zhang is willing to apologize to our boss, maybe you can leave Bangkok safely. It seems that Songzan doesn't have any good intentions either. Tan Xiu shook his head. If that's the case, then I'll help the Tea country's police to clean up the tumors of society like you. Spectre, kill them and throw their bodies into the Chao Phraya River. Remember, I don't want you to kill good people, but kill the bad guys if you can. Of course, I don't like trouble. I got it, boss, said Spectre with a grin. Tan Xiu waved his hand. As Spectre directly killed the two men and carried their bodies out, Tan Xiu then looked at Zhang Xinya and said, I'm sorry to kill people in front of you, but some people must die, else we'll have more troubles. Also, you've chosen to follow me, so you must be prepared to kill. My path is destined to be one of slaughter. Zhang Xinya had seen Tan Xiu kill people, and he killed dozens of people at once. His means were very fierce. However, she wasn't afraid. She could feel safe as long as she could follow Tan Xiu. I'll learn. Tan Xiu pulled her to sit next to him and said with a forced smile, I'm an immortal cultivator, and I won't be staying on Earth for a long time in the future. You may be disgusted with killing people now, but you'll know later that some people will force you to kill them even if you don't want to. The path to immortality is a struggle for the top, and only the strong survive. The other world is thousands of times crueler than this place. You always talk about the other world. Where is the other world? Asked Zhang Xinya with a blank expression. Also, what exactly is immortal cultivation? Becoming an immortal. You can also understand it as becoming an immortal, said Tan Xiu. The other world is the immortal world, a higher plane in the universe. There are some things I can't tell you for the time being, but I'll teach you immortal cultivation techniques. I'll take you to the immortal world if you want to in the future and tell you some very important things.